What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome here to Series Z Apex Legends. It's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon, which means it's time for Pro Night here at Series Z. My name is Jace. I'll be your host today. Excited to come and hang out and watch plenty more Apex Legends action. We had an incredible night of games last night and looking forward to plenty more here tonight as all of the pros slide in to compete with our partnered squads here today. For those of you that are new, I want to break down just how Series E works so everybody knows what's going on. Okay, Series E is a professional esports open circuit across multiple different titles that absolutely anyone can join. We've got Guilty Gear Strive, Halo Infinite, and of course, Apex Legends. Now, the way things work is players and teams, they come out and compete in our open qualifiers, and the best of the best make it into Series E. What does that mean for them? Well, players will sign a contract. They'll get signed by one of our partnered brands. They will make a monthly salary, and they get to compete weekly for points and prize money. In Apex Legends, it's every Tuesday night against other open squads, just like they used to be themselves. And then every Wednesday, they play against some of the best pros from all across North America. I'm talking TSM, C9, Team Liquid, NRG, and more. So if you and your friends want to get in on the fun, head over to matchareno.com/ESA to sign up. You can also use !sign up in Twitch chat right now to get the link that you need. And if you have any further questions on how to become a future Series E Pro, head over to esportsarena.com. Now, we have a ton to cover here tonight. Of course, Team Esports Arena showed up for open night last night and played a hell of a performance, closing the night with a big win to snatch first place away from Team Tyson. The partnered squads will be looking for redemption here tonight, but it'll be a tougher test with the pros coming in. We'll cover a lot of that here all throughout tonight's show. But before we jump into that, we're going to have a little fun here to start the day. We're going to play a little bit of Jeopardy. I've got a few guests ready to join me. Let's pull up the rules, though, so you all know how things work here. Very simple. If you watched Jeopardy before, works much the same. I've got 4 different categories across a range of different things. A few for gaming, some mixing things up a little bit. Our players will take turns picking a clue, and they must answer those clues in the form of a question. If they answer correctly, they will win the point value for that clue. If they are incorrect, they will lose that point value. Whoever has the most at the end will win. Important to note, players will buzz in when I finish reading the clue, and I will call on them to answer. Also, there is a daily double hiding on the board somewhere. If you find it, you can wager as many points as you have at that time. Let's bring in our contestants today, though. We got some of the pros sliding in today. From Torrent, we've got Rambo and RKN sliding in, and Keon here as well. Gentlemen, happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. How are we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm excited to have y'all on here and ready to play some Jeopardy. Anybody got some experience? You guys big Alex Trebek fans or?
Oh
Not
yeah,
at all.
big Jeopardy, big Jeopardy fan actually. I'm actually excited for this. I'm gonna smoke these guys.
Okay,
Jeopardy.
I hope so, Rambo, because every time I get somebody coming in really confident about their Jeopardy skills, they just absolutely flame out. So I'm really hoping you can buck the trend. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Let's bring up the game here, though, for you, gentlemen. Our categories today, we've got Apex Legends, Series E, Guns and Attachments, and Soft Drinks. Mixing it up a little bit. And why not Rambo, of course, coming off of that big performance, subbing in for GMT. We'll give him the board to start the game. So go ahead, sir.
Can I do soft drinks for 400?
Let's do it. Going big. Right off the bat, interestingly enough, you have found our daily double. Considering you have no points, I will allow you to wager up to 400 here.
Okay, I'll do the 400 then.
Okay, for 400 points, Rambo, the only one that can answer this one. This soft drink released a video game based on their Japanese superhero mascot for the PlayStation. Make sure to answer in the form of a question.
Oh my gosh.
5, 4.
What is
3.
Dr. Pepper?
Incorrect. Minus 400 points. What is Pepsi? The Pepsi Man game from back in the 90s. So tough start there for Rambo, but that's okay. Still plenty of game to play. It's
Not
early.
starting off hot.
It's early. It's okay. Rambo, the board is still yours, sir.
Can we do Apex Legends for 400, please?
Let's do it. Going big. Apex Legends for 400. This legend was a research scientist for Humbert Labs on Gaia. Rambo.
What is who is Caustic?
That is correct. 400 points. Back to even. Okay. Still yours, Rambo.
Can we do Series E for 400?
Let's do it. Get all the big boys off the table here early. Series E for 400. In Season 2 of Series E Apex Legends, Duplex was signed to this partnered brand. Rambo.
What is Intel?
That is incorrect. Minus 400 points.
Back to
Arcan or Keon, you want to get in
baby.
there? Go ahead and buzz if you got it.
I literally have no idea.
3, 2, 1. What is Apple Jacks? Team Apple Jacks.
Oh
from
wait, that's
back
right.
in
They were
Season
DNO
2.
Applejacks.
Was playing with Aves. Yes, back in the day.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Rambo, it's still you. You want to get that final 400 clue off the table?
Oh yeah. Can we do Guns and Attachments for 400?
Let's do it.
We're
Let's
winning
go
just
for
by
it.
him losing.
Exactly.
This sniper weapon deals 105 headshot damage to an opponent with a level 2 blue helmet.
Oh
Arcan?
baby, it's the longbow.
That is incorrect. Also,
Oh
make
my
sure to
gosh.
answer in the form of a question.
Oh, what is the longbow?
It was incorrect regardless. Rambo.
What is the Sentinel?
That is correct. Rambo back to even once again. It's a roller coaster ride here for Rambo so far. Go ahead.
Dude, Keon,
We
you
do
gotta hit a buzzer,
Apex,
bro.
Apex Legends for 300.
Let's do it. Apex Legends for 300. This Legend's tactical ability throws a snare which damages and sticks to the first enemy closest to it. Arcan.
Ash.
Nice.
Oh, what is Ash? Who is
I will
Ash?
give it to you there. Who is Ash? That is correct. 300 points. Just, I can't give you any
got it.
leeway
The
after
comeback.
this. You got it. All right. All right.
comeback.
Arcan, go ahead.
All right. Apex Legends 200.
Okay, Apex Legends for 200. Let's do it. This Legends heirloom is a Maui war club with glowing fire. Arcan.
Who is Gibby?
That is correct. 200 points there. And you're back
That's right, baby. We're
in the
back.
pause. And actually, I should say, the first one to get over 0 points. So congratulations.
All right.
Go ahead.
Guns and Attachments 300.
Let's do it. Guns and attachments for 300. This gun uses energy ammo and has a DPS of 170. Rambo.
What is the Volt?
Incorrect. Minus 300 points. Arcan or Keon? Arcan.
What is the Havoc?
Incorrect as well. Minus 300 points. Keon, you've been quiet. Do you want to jump in there now? Let's go.
What is the Devo?
Incorrect. Minus 300 points.
What is it? The Triple Tank?
What is
L-Star?
the L-Star? I think I may have
Oh my
yeah,
Oh, bro, I didn't even think of that.
little typo there on it, but it is the L-Star with that 170 DPS. I think Arcan, the board is still yours.
I'm winning by default. All right.
Yeah.
Apex 100.
Apex for 100. This Legend's ultimate ability deploys a pylon that destroys incoming grenades and repairs shields. Rambo.
Who is Watson?
That is correct. Everybody, I'm just going to assume you all knew that one, so well done. Rambo, go ahead.
Series E for 300.
Series E for 300. Let's do it. In Season 3 of Series E Apex Legends, Crummy was signed to this partnered brand. Arcan?
Oh, what is Rockstar? Rockstar?
That is correct. All right, 300 points. You were a little unsure there, but you had it.
I am Crummy's biggest fan.
I don't know. There's a couple people in production that might argue with you. We love Crummy around here. Go ahead, Arcan.
Soft drinks 300.
Let's do it. Soft drinks 300. This soft drinks logo includes 2 cacti. Three,
dude.
2,
I kind of know, but I don't know the name of it.
What is Cactus Cooler?
I don't.
I've never heard of that.
It's very good. It's like
I
think
thought it
it's,
was going to be that Mexican
like
soda.
Orange and pineapple soda. It's very, very good. Highly recommend it. We'll go back to Arcan.
All right. Guns and attachments 200.
Let's do it.
It's so embarrassing to get these wrong.
This attachment highlights enemies through smoke. Rambo.
What is the digital threat?
That is correct. 200 points there for Rambo.
Back it even again. Let's go.
Dude, I'm still winning.
Can we do Series E for 200?
Why not? For 200 points. In Season 5 of Series E Apex Legends, Team Excedrin consists of Kimchi Lee, enemy, and this third player. Rambo.
Who is cruising?
That is correct. 200 points.
Oh, how do you know that?
On a heater. On a heater. Don't call it a comeback. Can we do soft drinks for 200?
Yes, we can. This popular soft drinks logo is cursive on cans. Arcan.
Coca-Cola? Oh, what is Coca-Cola?
I'll give you caught yourself quickly enough. I'll give it to you. 200 points. Yes, Coca-Cola.
Oh my gosh. Nice. Let's go.
Go ahead, Arcan.
All right, soft drinks 100.
Soft drinks for 100. This popular ginger ale has a country in its name. Five,
oh my gosh, I know this.
4, 3, 2, 1. What is Canada Dry? Canada Dry.
Bro, I knew that, man.
Right.
That's a bummer.
Back to RKN here. 2 clues remaining on the board. Series E and guns and attachments. What do you got?
Sure, guns and attachments 100.
Let's do it. This weapon is able to use heavy and light ammo. Arcan quick on the buzzer in the form of a question. He's got it. 100 points there for Arcan.
That's a victory lap right there, baby.
Taking the 200-point lead here with our final clue on the board. Series E for 100 points to close it out. Team ESA, formerly Team Vizio, is made of these 3 players. Rambo.
Who is Phony, Scissors, and Fury?
That is correct. Rambo closing on a W there with that one. Arcan, I gotta ask, what is more nerve-wracking, playing an ALGS or playing Jeopardy here today?
I mean, it's pretty embarrassing not knowing the Apex Legends question.
I will give you guys a little bit of a pass. It's some, maybe some data and some numbers that you don't quite pay as much attention to. Sometimes you just pick up the L-star and the L-star goes burr and you don't care about, how much damage it actually does. Our winner today, though, is RKN here from Torrent. Congratulations. Yeah. Now, next time Rambo wants to, throw a little smoke, you can just hang that one over his head after he was talking junk at the start, right?
Sure.
All right, Rambo, Arcade, Keon, thanks so much for hanging out and coming to play with me, gentlemen. Best of luck competing today, and we'll see you around.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
see you guys soon.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Bye.
Shout-outs to all 3 of those gentlemen. Make sure to go support them and give them some love. Of course, you'll definitely see them competing here tonight in Series E. Of course, that Torrent roster has been just an absolute banger as of late. They have really been incredible over these last few months, and looking forward to seeing more from them here today. Of course, we're gearing up for Pro Night competition tonight. The partnered squads are out. They've got their toughest test of the week here against the big boys, and we're looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. My friends Dia and Stella will be bringing you guys the cast all along, and I'll be here to break things down in between. But let's not waste any time, folks. We're ready to go. It's Series E Pro Night. We're ready to kick it off right now.
You are the...
All right, welcome everybody.
Series E Apex Legends.
All of World's Edge explodes into chaos, and G2 round the corner, taking what is rightfully there.
War with our Ashe player Musin follows, and it's going to quickly switch to the Peacekeeper, putting down damage quick as
That Fury starts it off with the devotion and does so much work. May have single-handedly clutched it for Vizio, and with the last shotgun shot, does it?
Let's get the games underway, man. I'm ready to go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another day of Series E. My name is Dia, and I am joined by the one and only Parallax Stella. Stella, it's our first time covering Apex Legends together. When I started watching Apex Legends, it was you who I watched commentating it. So let me be clear. Games aside, I'm really excited for today.
Yeah, and we first saw each other at ALGS too, not too long ago. So there you go. It's perfect. We met each other. Now we're casting together. It's like we did everything in order, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, right? In this day and age to actually meet before you work digitally, but
yeah, right.
We're going to get the chance to today, and we got the chance to meet a lot of these players. I know that you especially were walking around interviewing everybody, so you've got a good sense of what their personality is going to be like and how they're feeling after champs today. Now, of course, that's going to be applying to a lot of our pro teams who managed to actually make it there, and our pro players who have then since sorted out. But today, we're going to be using the same scoring without match point that people got used to at champs. We're going to be doing 6 games, the first 3 on World's Edge, the second 3 on Storm Point, and the placement points are going to be as usual in the ALGS. But the prizing, Stella, the prizing is where it's at. $2,000 up for our teams today. $1,200 going to first place, and second place getting an $800 bonus.
Oh man, no love for my third place team? That's all right. They'll have my love and affection. That's fine. I know that's not like monetary value, but you know, there's like emotional value there. But that's a pretty big leap from second place and first place. I'm very excited to see these teams fight it out.
And these are the 20 teams that will be competing for the honor of the first place prizing, the second place prizing, and the third place crisp handshake, right? That's what we're going for. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of competition for those top 2 spots. I heard Yeso talking about Esports Arena's performance yesterday in open night before, but I'm looking across here. We got C9, G2, 100 Thieves, CLG. This is not an easy lobby by any means, and it's exactly what I think of when I look at today's lobby and go, oh yeah, this is Pro Night. This is where our partnered squads really get put to the test.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at 100 Thieves, you see all these different teams with C9 especially, and Torrent with Rambo, who also, I was casting Twitch Rivals. His team was performing just out their butts. Like, it was amazing. So just seeing all these teams just kind of like, you know, some of these teams are going to be scattered, like they're going to be pulling in players from different places that they haven't played with before, but these are pretty solid teams. We've seen a lot of these players playing together. They know how to synergize, so it's going to be really cool to see how everyone does. And it's like, I don't think I've casted a Pro Night before. Maybe like once before, so I'm really excited because Open Night is a little different from Pro Night, you know?
Yeah, the pacing tends to be quite varied. Pro Night, I would say, most people tend to take a step back, and I'm actually wondering if that's going to be true based on the way that professional Apex Legends has changed ever since we had ALGS champs in North Carolina. People have gotten a little bit more aggressive, and even teams like Torrent have started whipping out things like the crypto that RKN picked up at champs and running it with it here in North America.
Interesting. Okay, see, I was going to be looking for how many teams were going to bring out their aggressive seers, because ever since we saw his Watson running that aggressive seer, we've seen a lot of people in ranked picking up seer gameplay, so we'll take a look at how people are going to be picking their legends here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've had quite a few teams find success with this play style of being very aggressive. Our partnered squads, especially on open nights, have been having a good time, but we're on board with Esports Arena, and it's time that I give them a shout out because I owe a lot of RP to Esports Arena. This morning, I was inspired by their performance yesterday, whipped out the Newcastle myself, and it fried much like Deemy's doing right now. CLG already in an engagement over at Harvester.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're already down Nano here, so not looking so great for CLG, but they may be able to make a full recovery here. They still have not been able to grab his banner, but it looks like they're going to be doing that here. And they're actually fighting against Season. Is that how you say their names?
That's how we're gonna do it.
Season? All right.
Well, this is sort of a I want to say combined roster of free agents. They're working on their synergy, of course, but it's already enough to take out CLG. Whether synergy may be something they're working on, the talent is something this roster's got in droves. Who? They're in the same boat, taking another 50-50 of the day, but they're also a team that we saw perform exceptionally well yesterday. They've got to make it a little bit further, though, and Bizet climbing is a really good start.
Ooh.
Bow around the side, though, as Yuba takes down Wade and actually forces Who to exit the game early. We're down 2 squads, and the Bad Boys just claimed one of them.
Yeah, who? Who? I'm sorry. Yeah, second squad to go out. That's real rough. But it is only game number 1, so hopefully they can make things back. But again, this is Pro Night. You can't leave anything at the chance. You really can't be slacking here because this is the best of the best playing.
Really is. Vizio, they are one of our better performing. Ooh,
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
Yeah, what was that?
I mean, yeah. I'm regretting it.
Yeah, Team Intel coming in to say, hey, no, we're the better performing. Excuse you. How dare you speak out against us?
It's interesting to see Intel being the ones to fight Vizio early, because yesterday it was all about Vizio Nerf contesting each other off drop, so Vizio actually changing up their drop spot there still didn't go too well for them. The 50-50 is really not working in their favor, but Los Demonios, they are whipping out the evil tech here, running with the Fuse to really disrupt these early fights.
I don't think Fuse is evil. Fuse is great. Honestly, I love Fuse. I am always happy to see him being used. He's one of the 3 mains that I switch off on, and he's just great for being able to deny areas here. But it looks like Mike and I kind of in a little tough situation here. They do need to back off because they're just getting shot at. And again, we do see a lot of teams running Seer.
This is actually exactly the kind of squad that I'd expect to do it too. A team that wants to take early engagements. Mike and I have a lot of 3v3 potential, but haven't really gotten that synergy under their belt yet, so as much chaos as they can inject into fights with things like the Horizon and the Seer, all the better for them. Well, Los Demonios continue to lay down the pressure. They actually get themselves access to the Crafter, which may be what they were going for all along, taking these coincidental fights as they occur. And MJ, in the meanwhile, trying to farm up to that next level of Eva. One more nicely placed shot with the charge rifle would do it. We just got a second more to see if Mike and I can power up before what I imagine is them eventually leaving this POI.
Yeah, honestly, I think that the charge rifle is a little bit more rude than running Fuse in games. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's true. If Fuse is, I'm not willing to concede good, but if Fuse is at least chaotic neutral, the charge rifle can be evil. I think that's a nice middle ground that I'm willing to play with.
All right, and Wiz, it does have the turbocharger on the Havoc, which is absolutely fantastic. That thing rips, so it'll be interesting to see how they do play up against here. It looks like Demonios does want to fully push into this. They did get to deny that Horizon ultimate, but I don't know if they're really in the best position here.
Tech, no shields right now, getting rounded on by that Turbo. Havoc still turns it around and wins the 1v1 against Wiz, though he is taken down by a flank. Los Demonios got to manage their angles carefully. Which of these isolated members do they commit to? MJ on the side has purple shields and is right next to Tech, maybe even in a position to be able to res Wiz. So putting this Seer under pressure as Mar comes up the flank with the Arcstar getting punished. Still going to be alive. And, oh, Lord, the same cannot be said, it appears, for some of the other members as Bad Boys are entering for the third party. Another Singularity is going to hit here. Tech still isn't up, mind you, so this is a numbers disadvantage for not only Mike and Ike, but also Los Demonios.
It looks like Bad Boys aren't really able to fully connect with anything here, though. They are just being kept outside, so they may end up just retreating here because they didn't really fully commit on this push. Looks like they may be getting a little bit of loot here, though. I mean, why not?
You've already got these 2 death boxes, and honestly, you're looking like you're in a pretty good position. Neither of these teams excited to push you. Actually, with Yubo running the best scope, in my opinion, on the Bocek. I really like the 2x. It lends you that little bit of extra accuracy. But Los Demonios, they haven't given up on Tech's banner just yet. We've also got a lot of mobility with things like the Horizon, but it's mirrored by the composition of Bad Boys and Stella that we haven't talked about it. These teams haven't thought about it. We've still got a long way to ring as well, and we've got to start getting that on our minds.
Yeah, they do have a Valkyrie, so they don't have to worry about it too much here, but it looks like they are going for that banner. Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a standoff, honestly. No one's going to be able to really push off of this unless they do decide to move here, but it looks like they might be able to get the res here and just fully rotate in using Valkyrie's ultimate. So they might be okay, but one of their team members won't have a lot of loot to have on their way out.
And cross our fingers for it, see what they're able to get. Oxygen were a team yesterday that was actually quite used to running without a lot of loot. They were often finding themselves in a position where they would rotate early with the Valkyrie, set up with the Watson, and pray that they were able to get their Evos off, keep their ammo up. This time they've done the same thing, but oh my lord, will we be able to escape? Trying to disengage, Los Demonios do end up getting found for flesh, but actually not taken down just yet. Are Bad Boys following, or are they making a different rotate? Let's find out how good we're feeling today.
I mean, honestly, if you know that they were trying to go for the res, I'm not quite sure if they did end up getting that res off. Why not just full send? If you know that it's going to be a 3v2, you feel pretty safe going into this fight.
Yeah, don't get any scans on the res beacon, so Bad Boys are going to take this and extend it for as long as possible. Still actually not finding Los Demonios, surprisingly. They search every corner of Countdown and can't quite find anyone. Finally, actually, Promo sees them sneaking out the back, right back around to Lava Fisher, tags him with the Bocek, and now you're going to be losing another member. No two ways about it. Luxford ends up going down, and Los Demonios, they're in an even tougher spot.
Oh, this unfortunate rotation. They almost got away, but again, Seer is just so good in hunting down these teams. I mean, it's not like Bloodhound where you do see where they go, but I mean, you can just actively see where someone is with Seer, and it looks like they are going to be hunting down the last member. I don't know, Mar, not looking too great here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, there he goes.
Was pretty sure that was Los Demonios the whole time. I'm not sure where I got confused. With Mike and Ike exiting, it's yet another partnered squad that gets knocked out. Right around the side of Ring as well. It should be a relatively easy recovery to move your way into Landslide, where we got another couple squads that might be fighting sooner rather than later. Nerfer coming up through staging, and they've got a long way to go until that northern ring, but still plenty of time to do it, as Vayne appears to be ratting it out outside the ring.
Yeah, I guess the one person that they did scan out there in Lava Fissure, that was Vayne. We did see that scan, but the other team didn't rotate on them. They opted for the 2 KP, which is great. But now they are going to be keeping an eye out for Vayne, who seems to be trying to rotate in by himself here.
This is the last member of Los Demonios, so they and Mike and Ike sort of splitting it up, with Los Demonios winning the larger engagement, I would suppose, but nobody's gotten any placement points just yet, as we're only into the top 16 squads. One more must fall in order
there he goes.
for this to be worth it, and there we go. Unfortunately, Los Demonios don't get any access to it.
Unfortunately, it was taken out, but I mean, he wasn't the first person out, so hey, there's that.
Yeah, it's the moral victory, isn't it?
You know, yeah, for game 1, sure. I mean, you don't get any placement points really that matter in 16th place, but it is better than nothing. But we do see that G2, full purple shields, looking pretty good here, playing the outskirts. They are going through this rotation. I don't know why.
Maybe looking to edge camp? I don't know. It seems like a kind of G2 thing to do. But one of the things that I was actually wondering, since we have another person running the Bocek, by the way, is... you know, we're both on Twitter. We've both seen all the speculation. Chichu running with Abralele today. Do we want to talk about it, or do we want to just leave it and let the orgs speak for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think Alba's great on any team. Honestly, I think as long as his calls get to be acknowledged and actually listened to, I think that he's a pretty strong IGL. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around the game for a long time. I tend to agree with you there. I'm wondering if the sort of fragging power that we've seen with G2 is going to be the style of game that best supports Abralele, since I really haven't seen him outside of C9 for a very long time. I've almost forgotten what it's like to have Abraleli piloting a team on their own. So I'm curious about this integration, and on the other side of this, I know that C9 were actually running with a member of G2 earlier today, and I wonder if that sort of extra fragger mentality is going to help support them in the same way, if that's what they were looking for from Abraleli early on, and whether that is something that gets translated into hopefully what'll be a smoother squad this season for C9.
Yeah, I know that they've been wanting to iron out some things, so hopefully they do get a full team that they can fully synergize with. I know that that's been kind of an issue, but I mean, they are a solid team. They have great shooters. I think, again, it's just a lot of making sure that you are on the same page as your teammates, being able to communicate and feel heard and respected during fights. It's a lot to consider. Just because you're all great players doesn't mean you're going to make for a great team, you know?
For sure, Apex Legends is far from a solved game, and one of the things that fascinates me is when you have players on a team, you actually see this quite a bit in Pro League, where you'll have two very good players who, for whatever reason, have different ideas of what the best way to play the game is, and just because of that, need to try something new, right? We're seeing that here, and we're going to likely continue to see it even in Series E. Bad Boys, after having a pretty good idea of what they wanted to do, and that was take fights in the early game, are rotating in. Well, Exedrin, they're taking a fight of their own. One of our most improved squads of the past season might be going out early, especially if that singularity has anything to do with it. The car is beaming for enemy, though, and he manages to take the 1v2, eliminating G2.
Oh, they may not be able to get that quick swap off, though, but let's take a look here at Team Intel. James going down, trying to get that res off, but not quite able to. They do have to finish this fight, and he pulls out the Mozambique in that fight. Now it's just down to Bowser here. I think he can get this clutch off here, but they do need to fight this, and it's against Stay Naughty as well, so it's going to be a 1v1 here.
If anybody can do it, the PK can do it. Bowser is good. We actually saw him bamboozle some folks yesterday, and sticking the res right now is causing some problems. Naughty has to commit to the fight, gets the crack for Flesh, though rounds the corner with the 3-0-1, and the PK was not enough. Intel are eliminated.
That was unfortunate. I think if Bowser had been the first one to actually initiate there, he probably would have been able to win that 1v1. But he did opt for the safer option, which was to res and try to make it a 2v1. But it's one of those situations where you just need to push and be confident in your shooter skills.
Certainly so, and we're actually going to get a lot of that as the circle will continue to pull us into these wide open spaces, just a few rocks for cover, and Tyson are going to need to make the best use of that, perhaps even with a new castle of their own. One of the few squads that has been able to pick that up and integrate it. Joey, I think, a player that initially impressed me with his Gibraltar play, has still been a really good anchor, and we saw glimmers of hope for the Tyson squad, even at this point in the season, just yesterday with an impressive performance in their games during Open Night.
Yeah, and I mean, I know how excited you were. Oh, here's Renegades.
Also
with Madness
Newcastle.
And Pow and Bronzy. Yep, with your Newcastle that you're so excited for.
With Renegades actually sandwiched by two squads, things will get a little difficult. They do have a lot of fences to protect them from an actual full engagement by Bad Boys, but it does mean they can't get nearly as aggressive as they would like, and we're thinking about rotations, right? Because as the circle starts to close, only one of these two teams is going to have access to the tunnel leading directly from train tracks into Landslide, and it's looking increasingly like that's going to be Bad Boys. Turbo Havoc still putting out an insane amount of damage, and Promos has the habitat as well for an extra defensive advantage when it ends up pulling towards them. Frag going off and zoning pretty effectively, and these missiles, they're really going to be the thing that gives you a second as Renegades, but a second is all you get as Bad Boys are unrelenting on this push.
It looks like they do want to push her. They did clear most of the fences here. They are mostly uncontested in this push, just getting free damage off, being able to just poke here. Now the circle is going to hurt a little bit, but they are able to hold back here. The wingman coming out. Not able to connect on any shots here, though, but it is a 3v1 at the moment.
Yeah, last member alive. Bronzy actually does get a knock, might get two here, but as Promos jumps over the top of everyone and lays in the damage, it's going to be enough for Tyson to now start paying attention to this. We'll see if Bad Boys get that full reset or whether they can get engaged on right now. Joey shooting through the gaps in the boxes by Space for Oxy. Aries gets that extra mobile shield as well. The reset has not gone off. We're likely going to see another squad eliminated. It's a 2 versus 2, 2 versus 1. Tyson are left with just C. Davis. They can't get the shield swap, and they overextend into Bad Boys and get punished for it.
I was going to say, was that controller looting there? I feel like he tried to get that shield swap, but it was just a little bit too late. Otherwise, he may have had a chance there, but unfortunate for him, that is where they go down. Also, I want to point out that there was a full mag dumped into a teammate's head there, which was unfortunate. We've all been there.
It's just coordination, right? Some growing pains for the Tyson squad, perhaps. SZN, as they push up to what is now a Horizon who's been taken out fully. Odd Freestyle may be able to get this banner right back up. You've got other concerns at the moment, actually lasering down Blakeu with the car. Got only a little bit of space to work with. We've actually got multiple ways that they can defend around here with both the wall in front of them and the caustic. Do they choose to go for this fight and try and clean up Complexity, who are rounding the corner? We'll see.
This is just kind of going to be a standoff here. No one wants to fully engage quite yet. They are just getting poking battles here. I am surprised to see how many people are playing Watson right now. I mean, she is very viable, but especially with the way that they're playing, it's just so much open ground that, you know, Watson's pylons will do some work, but you can't really fence out, especially in a position like this.
We're seeing evidence of that right now. It's not like these teams, I think, are coming to the same realization as what you're saying. Sort of as you say it, going, look at how many Watson pylons are still around. How many of those teams are still alive? The answer's not really many. Even SZN right now, even though they are not running the Watson, still very much out in the open. No ability to reset, and they end up going down. We're into their top 6 squads, probably into the top 5 pretty soon, especially if Bad Boys have anything to say about it. They're taking another engagement, though they lose Yubo. We'll see if they're able to clean up. Juke gets one additional knock, taking down Rambo, but is unable to finish the entire squad, let alone get a reset. Remember, no Gibraltar, no Newcastle, no Watson on this squad means no relief, and RKN still alive is making their life very difficult. The Bad Boys have one more Titan 2 face down, rounding the corner with the Prowler. RKN takes the 1v1, but hasn't got the shields just yet. Instead, gets turned on, and Torrent end up going down to Complexity, who come in for the third party. Bad Boys are out as well.
Yeah, Complexity has been playing it very slow, very, they've been pretty calculating about the way that they've been approaching things, which is great here. They do have pretty good high ground. They do need to scoot in, but they have been able to move really well together. They've been able to get the full reset, but C9 is also looking pretty good here.
This is a really nice area, especially with the Caustic and the Newcastle. Very difficult to siege, and with the composition they have, very easy to set up as well. Since they've got the 2 beefy boys, the Caustic and the Gibraltar, they got themselves a lot of space and have managed to usurp a little corner of heaven for themselves that nicely is still inside of the next ring, where teams holding the center of Epi will need to be dropping down pretty soon.
Yeah, I just also, Gent was using the God, what was it, longbow and peacekeeper combination, and I'm glad he switched out to the flatline, because that was not going to work out in the long run. But they do have the high ground here. They are able to oversee everything, but they can't quite stay up there. They don't have a lot of cover.
For the moment, just making sure that nobody takes it away from them. Gent actually doing a really good job of covering with the flatline, despite the fact that it's got no attachments for right now. EMP is going to cause them some problems, especially when it comes to those caustic barrels, but the game can't become about eliminating C9 just yet. It'd be almost mutually assured destruction. They're going to hang on to this spot, it seems, and a defensive bombardment to make that extra certain right now is really going to help them out. Gent still has that bubble and has the gold shield. The Arc Stars are causing problems, though, when he ends up going down. Will they be taken out, or Oxygen going to be able to eliminate C9? They're playing the opposite side of the pillar right now, paying attention to what goes on above them, hoping that other teams are going to take that bait. But Oi Senpai receives yet another EMP to the face, and Complexity, they're the ones that smell blood in the water. They're the ones taking the high ground, and they are the ones who may ultimately eliminate C9.
Yeah, they are in a really good position right here. They do have a great angle on all of them, and they can slowly close in the gap. Now, they do need to be careful that they don't overextend and push out of this cover here, because they are at a great angle to hold out all these teams.
C9 still barely alive, just hanging onto life right there with Oxygen right on the other side. Zach will eventually go down, and Stay Naughty is the last one. We're going to be whittled down to 2 squads very soon. You just do not want to take the risk that this last member of C9 takes down one of your own. In go the Arc Stars. Protectful gets knocked, and that should be a death sentence. Oxygen should be going down here. First, we've got the crack on the inside, though, as we're going to finish off C9 first. Now looking for Oxygen, who are on the low ground, who are batting, who are recovering, and who will not get the chance to. Complexity from the skies take them down and manage to maneuver this mid-game to an end game with perfection.
Yeah, Complexity coming in hot with this first game win. I mean, again, they were just very calculating. They made sure to wait till the very last moment that they could to push in, and they secured themselves 4 KP in that end fight. That's pretty incredible.
And that's to add to the incredible amount that they racked up on their way in, making the rotation into Epicenter from the east. Complexity looked smooth, practiced, and honestly never engaged upon. It felt like they were always the last ones to the fight, and I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah, I mean, they took their time. They made sure to know when exactly to push, which fights to take. And the fact that they were all red shields at the end, I mean, it shows you that they were very good at knowing when exactly to engage, what exact rotations they wanted to take to make sure that they could amplify the best fights. So it's looking good for them, but it is game number 1. We're going to be seeing a lot of teams that didn't really get to play against this exact lineup kind of warm up. So we're going to be seeing a lot of people play more normally in game number 2.
Yeah, who had that experience? Vizio had that experience, and there are squads that we're expecting to actually show up in these later games that just due to some perhaps unlucky early fights didn't quite get the chance to. We even saw the same thing happen to Los Demonios, and right here with Bad Boys really on the hunt. They were another one of our teams that, despite the fact that they didn't win, changed the outcome of this game so decidedly. They eliminated something like 3 or 4 squads from contention, 3 or 4 squads that honestly I think we would have been looking out for otherwise.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Excedrin also did a phenomenal job taking out, who was it? G2, I believe, yeah. They did a great job, so that has to be a good confidence booster as well. So game number 1 was kind of like testing the waters. Now, in game number 2, we're going to be seeing teams pulling it all together. So hopefully the teams that did score a little bit poorly in game number 1 can pull it back in game number 2.
Yeah, I think one of the really exciting things, you mentioned the Excedrin takedown of G2, is seeing our partnered squads who normally you would think are going to have a little bit of a more difficult time on Pro Night, saying, hey, this may be Pro Night, we may still be working to get there, but we're also not going to just be dictated to by you. If you take a 3v3 with us, we will take you down. Enemy really demonstrating that with an incredible amount of talent, and we'll see what they could do in that second game, as you said earlier. For right now, though, I want to hear a little bit more about that game and who our standouts were, and for that, we're going to toss this one over to Yeso.
Thank you, Dia and Stella. Oxygen attempting to get Game 1 victories in back-to-back days here in Series E weren't quite able to do so. And that, of course, courtesy of Complexity just cleaning house in that final fight. One of the cleaner final fights you will see. Arcstar in, they get the knock, they come in to clean up Naughty, and then 3 PK shots later, almost essentially, Oxygen disappears from that lobby. So nice job from Complexity, very decisive in that fight, and that's why they take that win. Let's take a look at our champion squad here for this first one. Of course, Complexity showing up in the end game and showing up all throughout. You talk about that 4 KP at the end. That wasn't the only KP that they picked up, because 10 kills for the squad. Mr. Hakulo leading the way there with 5 for himself. And that's just a hell of a game there from Complexity. So they'll jump out to 22 points to start the day here. And that is exactly how you want to kick off a night of competition here in Series E. And now we can take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for our first game of the day. And it is going to be this fight between Excedrin and G2. If you watched last night's show, Dia and I multiple times singing the praises of Enemy, and we talked about how this team has really taken a step forward. And I think while Cruisin and Kimchi Lee have also been playing even better Apex Legends this season, and I think the IGLing for the squad has been even cleaner, I think Enemy has been a big catalyst for their growth, and he has just been such a clean player in so many different fights. And you can see here on the Seer with that car. We talked about it yesterday, right? His team has a 66% win rate in engagements When enemy has the car, that number goes up just a little bit here after those 2 pure beams on G2. So well played from enemy, and Excedrin did get the win in this game, but some good KP for them, and we'll have to see what they can do as the night continues. 1 game, though, in the books, and 5 more to go here tonight. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, plenty more Series E action where that came from.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
Lord. All right, welcome back, folks, to Series E. D and Stella theoretically taking you through the actions of the game when we're unmuted. But before that, let's take a look at the Mobile 1 leaderboard to see who's got, well, the most gained out of that first game. As you said, Stella, it is just the first game, but Complexity taking a 22-point lead ain't bad. With Bad Boys coming up right behind them at 20 points, I think this says a lot about the amount of KP that squad was able to rack up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, looking at game number 1, this is pretty decent for the top scorings. Like, usually in open nights, we do see more of a lead. So seeing this, it's pretty good in terms of talking about the overall players who are in this lobby today. So it's pretty good. I mean, look at those scorings. It's pretty close. We're going to see more of a lead probably by game 3, but everyone in the top 5 look pretty solid, and even Torrent. Now, it is unfortunate that CLG is sitting at 0 currently, but again, only game number 1. We've got 5 more games to go. I mean, come on.
It's a little unlucky, but hey, also, one of the things that I'm worried about for CLG is that back when Klein was on XSET, they were always contesting at Harvester, and now that we've got SZN in the lobby, it's going to be essentially the same concept, is what I'm thinking. That CLG and SZN, one of them is going to be having 0-point games throughout the entirety of World's Edge. It's just a matter of flipping the coin and finding out who it is. A thing to call out off of last game as well, Oxygen actually doing pretty well in terms of the placements, managing to get themselves all the way up to 2nd, still weren't in the, I think, even top 3 of the lobby as Bad Boys replaced them there, and C9 still placing above them as well. So a little bit lacking in the KP did hurt them in the overall standings. We'll see if they can rectify that in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, again, of course, placement is important, but also kills will come in handy because you could be 2nd place in the overall standings, I guess. But with winning a game, I mean, you may not have enough KP to actually take all the points that you can with placements included. So you never know how you can score. So always make sure that you can take the smart fights. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of teams kind of struggle with, knowing when exactly to take fights. We see a lot of off-drop fights from game number 1 that maybe we're going to see teams pull back on now.
We're hoping that happens. I'm looking at Harvester. I'm not seeing the dive trails go towards it just yet, but it may be because we've already missed them. On board with our winners, however, Complexity taking their landing in Frag East. Actually have plenty of time and space to loot up as they see fit, and even got the beacon right next to them as well. CLG seemingly in another engagement though, as Mamba, even with this caustic, isn't gonna have a whole lot of staying power. Needs that blue shield right now for the additional HP, and still doesn't have a weapon. Finally gets the 45, turns around and finds Flash. That is the Mamba that we know and love, but still it's a 2v1. Doesn't quite get the knock, but I'm yelling there 1. You know that he is. SZN are gonna get the finisher right now, but Klein actually gets interrupted, being shot mid-animation. Mamba gets finished off, but the 2 remaining members of CLG, they are coming with a vengeance. Caustic traps go out defensively, and Nano, for the moment, has to back away. Should be able to recover their teammate. Do we keep fighting or do we disengage?
Yeah, I think the smart thing to do here is to fully disengage. I mean, they are at a disadvantage with their lack of heals. They're not going to be looking too great into this fight, and the res beacon's right there, so why not back off, grab some more loot on the way, and make sure that you do have a 3 full team.
Nano wisely going for this immediately. You don't want to wait too much time, and the chance that the staging team, or whatever team has won that 50-50 if there was one here, but Bad Boys landing there previously, might be rotating over to you when they see this res come in. So I'd be scared as a CLG fan to see how this shakes out. Fortunately for them, 2 teams over at staging in an engagement may distract each other for long enough that this goes relatively risk-free. Bad Boys already losing half, no, full health on Yubu. Might be able to pick him up. Seer Scan comes in helpful. It is the trade, though. 1-4-1 at the moment. Bad Boys controlling the high ground. I don't mind their chances at this, especially with an R301 in your hands.
Yeah, you can tell that Juke feels a lot more confident going into this fight here, so they can fully engage, do break shields here, and they're going to be trying to do everything to finish this fight as soon as possible because they're making a lot of noise, and there are a lot of teams in the area that they know they are alerting. So they are trying to push here. We don't see them fully pushing, though. Wave is going to be able to get that full Phoenix hit off as well. They are a little bit separated, though. This isn't looking too great for Who.
No, I'd be worried, especially because not only are they facing off against Bad Boys, not only are they down a member, but we did get the inklings of a third party incoming as Demi picked up the full thirst onto the downed member of Bad Boys. We got another fight going on, though, it seems, as a brief scan reveals Vizio and their plans over by Lava Fisher, likely, based on how quickly they've gotten here, where they think the game is ending on this building.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the scan legend, so they are able to post up if they want to. I mean, I guess blue shields aren't completely terrible for mid-game, but towards endgame, you definitely want something better. And it looks like Mike and Ike are in the same exact location, looking a little worse than their opposing team here. So they got to figure out if they want to engage or if they want to back off.
Complexity also have to make a decision right now with Shiny going down, eating the bullet through the door of the RV. An EMP is going to come in, but can Complexity get the res? Arcstar on the door is going to make things a little bit harder, and Torrent are showing no mercy right now, walking right up. Still, that res does go off for the moment. A Thermite buys you a little bit of time, but RKN wants this push, ends up throwing out that EMP and wreaking havoc. The rest of the team not pushed up just yet, gets a nice crack with the Peacekeeper, holding the angle. RKN goes down. Where is the rest of Torrent? Complexity are holed up in this building, and they seem to be able to put up the defense of a lifetime.
Yeah, look at this hit on just being able to hide behind this one chair here. My goodness, they are doing everything they can to stay alive. Complexity coming out now, but Who is on top, overwatching the entire thing, and they're waiting for the right time to push in.
I'd be worried about this as Complexity. They're pushing forward, and Who recognize weakness. They've gotten the res back off, and Stomps will be able to pick up the loadout of his choice now on the other end of this. Being able to chase down those last members of Complexity. Shiny has gone down. Torrent are making their escape. Those final 2 members running through the tunnels. And it seems like they'll be able to make their way out as well. Complexity whittled down to just 2 members. And now that is 2 squads that are hurt, not just the one with Rambo and Keon. Very, very low. They are, I dare say, one shot. It's just got to be the right one.
Yeah, I certainly hope that the other teams that were in that area have moved, but I don't know. We might be finding ourselves in a bit of a sandwich here. CLG coming in to finish off someone that they must have downed here. We're not quite sure who exactly they were fighting here. Looks like it was Messiah.
All the way from Nerf, able to take that down, but the rest of Nerf still alive, wondering where they're at the moment. Mid-Harvester, it seems. So Messiah very separated from the team. A little bit of extra damage thrown in by Force will do some good, but I don't think they're going to have access to that banner, and this is where you start hedging your bets, saying, all right, do we pretend that we're playing this one as a 2-man? Do we go for the hero play? It's only game 2, and we've still got 20 squads. Despite all the kills, you don't want to be the team that's out first.
Yeah, certainly not. 20 squads left. I mean, you can tell that players are being a lot more careful about what exactly they push, how exactly they push and rotate here. So they are being a little bit more careful. We are still seeing a fight here at Landslide. At least we're seeing an active pursuit.
Yeah, if only we had a Bloodhound, right? Who would really like that extra bit of engage right now? Stomps will do, however, as since they've gotten that full res earlier, they have essentially been W-keying at fights, figuring that, hey, third parties are going to be awesome to be a part of. C9 end up finding an engagement, and then we've got that same thing, friendlies eating up damage. This fight still goes theoretically in their favor right now, taking out the first member of Tyson, Joey, to go down. As G2 were starting to show up in the kill feed simultaneously. C9 have got themselves a slice of heaven up in the north, and Gent bubbling up is changing the fight with the Gibraltar.
Yeah, trying to find the connects here with the PK, able to help down here. And also, Bad Boys was eliminated, we were seeing in the kill feed here. Now, a member of Oxygen was eliminated here as well. And who, not looking so great, down to 2 people. Trying to get this res off here, but I don't know if they're safe.
I gotta hope so. Bad Boys are first squad out as well this late into the game. Round 1 just now closing. Complexity, they still haven't gotten their final member back into the game, but with the banner in hand, they may be able to do so, especially with shots like that. Monsoon commits onto the low ground, but the bat's already gone off. Hakulo is trying to deal with this team on his own, but is eventually taken down as well. Trades 1-for-1, but now gets finished off with a 2 versus 1. Stomps and Vize look for Monsoon. Will they be able to find him? It seems like no for now, but they're going for this res anyway, saying, you know what, I dare you to come and fight us on this.
Yeah, very bold plays here. We do see Complexity's Hot Pot trying to just kind of survive in this location and get any banners that he can. But, I mean, this is going to be really rough here. There's 1 res in the area, and he might just be getting caught out here. I don't know if he can win this 1v1.
Oh.
And he does get eliminated, and that's Complexity out in 19th place.
That's our winners from game 1 as well. What a tragedy, and Intel coming in for the third party. Maybe just what the doctor ordered to make that sting a little bit less for Complexity. They would have had at least the vengeance of knowing that, yes, the squad that killed us also died. Intel, however, they're stalled out on that decision. Seeing who's on the low ground, they say, is it really worth committing down here? They have committed the Skyward Dive. We are out of the next ring, but they've got plenty of time and don't seem eager to give up this height.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine here. They do have enough loot to survive 2 fights, and their shields are looking pretty good here. They do need to move in, though. The circle is pulling in the opposite direction, so they are just making sure that they can keep out anyone else and just be as annoying as possible.
Multiple members spotted out there. I know that this team is looking for a third party right now, but they haven't been able to find it just yet. Exaggerin, however, they're getting straight up 3v3'd right now. I'm actually, as I say that, corrected. Torrent are able to find a knock on that fight, so there is a third party involved in that, making this all the easier for G2 to find the initial knocks onto Exaggerin. Enemy has gone down. Torrent have gotten their third right back into the fight, and they want to make this a party zone. With the drone from Crypto thrown out, Keon's taken a back seat. The rest of the team sitting a little further away as well, waiting for there to actually be enough downs that they can effectively do this, and maybe even thinking about a different play, a play that brings them a little bit further up to the north.
Yeah, they're fine here. I think they may just be wanting to get RKN's shield up here and maybe potentially pick off any KP that they can. Now, Nerf, we see Force trying to walk up very quietly here and get into circle and get into a safe position. Being a 2-man squad with 17 squads left, that's a bit rough here.
It's pain. We've all been there, right? We've all been waiting for our placement points to start rolling in, but in a professional lobby, things get very scary when we consider that as your main mode of accruing points, especially when you've got to come up towards Lava Fissure, where the floor you really can't touch, and everything else is inhabited by people who are very much looking to hunt you down. People who likely have seers on their team as well. C9, speaking of, are actually walking up. They are one of the teams that are not running the seer, but still going through Countdown. They'll have a decent amount of high ground if they can survive this engagement. It seems like it's not one that anybody's really eager to take.
Yeah, I mean, here they can all kind of coexist in the same location, but they do need to take this location from this team here. They do want that. They want to be able to go in there, especially with Zach Mazer being on Caustic. They want to have this enclosed space, and that's actually against Team Intel.
Not going to give this to them for free, not by a long shot. They've moved their way all the way over here and still have themselves a spot in the zone for now. There's no beacon near here, so neither of these teams should know where it's going. But Intel are able to take so much space with this height that they have, maybe even forcing another team off. We'll see what ends up happening over here. With Bowser throwing in shots, not quite connecting on any of them. It's more the message that it sends than anything, especially with this Turbo Havoc.
Yeah, he is knocking down C9's doors, which is great for them if they do decide to push. But currently, they're probably just going to all sit here for now. I mean, the next circle isn't going to be closing for another 2 minutes, so this team could move. They could coordinate a push if they want, but they know that there's another team across the way actively looking at them. So they are just paying attention to everything surrounding them and the late teams rotating in. So this is going to be something that we see kind of sitting in a stalemate for a good minute.
This certainly should be, right? We got a minute for people to start figuring things out. That's a whole minute where Intel can just watch the squad ahead of them and go, are you going to Valkyrie to a different spot? Do you have a different read on this zone than I do? CLG, however, they're a team that does not have that luxury. Fortunately enough, they've got the horizon to try and access the higher parts of Countdown. But for right now, running without that Gibraltar and only the vertical mobility allowed by their composition, they do have to be worried about nades coming in from afar because they don't have things like the Watts and the Newcastle, the Gibraltar that I mentioned earlier, that give you that chance to reset, to stabilize in a fight. When these people take fights, CLG have got to be winning them 100%. No downs, no questions.
Yeah, no, we do see them moving up a little bit. We do see them moving up slowly, and with a Caustic, you kind of want to be in that space before you take fights. Los Demonios here, taking a fight. And Lava Fissure, I mean, they're doing fine. Yep, and they just eliminated Renegades, who I think they were also a lower scoring team in game number 1 as well. So unfortunate for them getting taken out in 17th place. But now Demonios have to be careful and make sure that they don't get third-partied here.
Seems like fast enough for the moment that even Tech and Vayne aren't too worried about it. Luxford is keeping an eye out on top, going, hey guys, there is a team there that we should be keeping our eyes on. And actually, we see that a Newcastle team is positioned all the way far out to the west as well, creating playable territory where there was none before. Intel have decided that their best shot at getting into the ring is a little bit further out here, perhaps with the Valkyrie, but now we're distracted by a squad making their way in. Might be able to find a kill here. No. Nerf end up going out, and we're going to get another elimination on the Tyson squad. Now zone's starting to close though, and there's no more time to dilly-dally, even for Tyson, who are right here on the edge of the ring. Oxy Ares has to be sure to not eat too much zone damage, because zone 3 is, as I say, Stella, when the ring stops fooling around.
Yeah, you can't underestimate just how badly the ring hurts. And we do see a Valk ult on Intel here, which they need to do it now if they want to get away. I mean, this circle, again, is going to hurt pretty badly. And if they land on a team, which they most likely will, especially with the way that this zone is looking, they want to have as much health as possible as they land and get into a fight. Now, we do see Season here actively in a fight here, sending in all of their ultimates, but they are potentially getting third-party here.
Sandwich is real, and Clayton's right in the middle of it. Tyson have ended up going out for the moment, and Horizon Q to turn that around ends up taking down Hollow. It's not the full squad elimination, though, and Season have traded 1-for-1 at the moment. Shield swap comes in for Clayton just in time, and CLG, they've managed to show up and even hit the respawn real quick on Demi to make sure that he's going to be able to assist them in this fight. They are pushing Season off of this high ground, and even in here, even in Countdown, C9 are looking for more.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where as the zone closes and with 12 squads left, we're going to be seeing a lot of fights happening and third parties after third parties because everyone is trying to exist in the same location. And you can't quite do that. So we see a lot of Ring Around the Rosies. We see a lot of people just kind of cycling in on team fights here. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. C9 looking a little unhealthy here, but they need to be able to win these team fights in order to take this out. And they do. Not even... unable to secure the KP here, and CLG actually live for that with the gold bag res.
It's, the last tick for C9. It's painful to watch, but with CLG able to make that stylish re-entrance with the res as well. I can't say that I'm all that mad about it. G2 are going to make some other teams mad, though. They've got that Sierra scan. They've got another kill secured, and we've got another team eliminated who are now gone. And G2, playing around the edge, have been extremely effective in this game in a way that they weren't able to against Excedrin last time.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Who for being able to survive a little bit longer than previous, going out in 11th place, but still, that's not going to be enough to really get them on the board here.
Not nearly. With G2, however, they've got plenty, right? We've not only got the placement points secured by making it now into the top 10, we've got a Valkyrie ult prepped up. I like that they're checking their sides going, hey, one shot cancels this. If this gets canceled, things get very spooky very quickly. Now they've taken the skies, however, things already are starting to look challenging, because if they weren't before, now you've got to find a place to land and not get taken down. Remember, no Gibraltar, no Newcastle, no Watson, no reset for G2. This is the lowest risk position they thought they could take. Unfortunately for them, it's right next to Intel. Bowser getting laser right now, gets taken down by Aberlele. Are G2 landing on this and winning it? James Fearless has to play defense right now as Singularity causes problems, and there hasn't even been a knock onto the members of G2. They landed here, asserting their dominance, canceling the res, and now hunting down the last member of Intel.
And we do see Al being able to connect all of his shots here, and now they get to take this location and get to fully reset here with gold shield, but they do need to make sure that they don't get third-party tier. But I don't think anyone's going to be contesting them after that there. Now everyone is in their respective locations for the final circle here. They are making sure they're holding off. CLG might be in a bit of a risky position here, because if they do come out, which they need to, they are going to be the target.
I can't decide whether I like their spot because it's safe for now, or whether I hate their spot because it's guaranteed not going to be safe later. They're in a really tough position, and I don't envy them, but we've seen CLG already pull off the style in Countdown. Perhaps they'll be able to do it again. The nice thing is, sharing space with Mike and Ike, they've actually got distractions above them to be able to make use of, maybe even third party, depending on how quiet they can stay. Pushing them on this low ground, though, that should be impossible, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do see Team Valks here, but that would only be a solo player pushing, which would be a very bad call. We do see Los Demonios still alive here and still taking some fights on the edges here, so trying to see if they can get any extra damage to push and take this location, because they are slightly out of circle and they are being held out.
Only 100 ammunition left, and for Los Demonios, trying to take down the wall is going to be difficult. Oxygen, they take out Torrent, but then get taken down themselves as Vizio, the cleanup crew, comes in and then continues making their way into circle. They held this building so early on and have managed to not only depart it, but then return to it in style, much richer in the KP and the placement points. 7 squads left, and Onmu and Scurry have just gone down. 100 Thieves could be leaving us soon.
Yeah, this is one of those situations that I called out earlier, how because there are so many squads existing in the final 2 circles, it's just going to keep... You're just going to see cycles of third parties and fourth parties just coming through. Now, we do see Vizio focusing on this team that Los Demonios is also looking at. So whoever this is in the corner, they are probably screwed here.
Yeah, 100 Thieves are getting doinked on, and right there we see them taken down. It was the beginning of the end for them a long time ago, but now with Luxford taking a lot of damage as well, Los Demonios have overextended, and they get taken out by Vizio, who end up claiming all of the loot for this 100 Thieves squad. Another effective third party, one that punishes the overextensions and leaves Vizio in the top 5.
Yeah, ooh, nice shield there from Blitz, but now they are in a more vulnerable position here. G2 opting for the lower ground. They do have, yes, they do have their horizon that they can come up to, but this is going to be one of those situations where they just have to constantly fight as the circle closes. I mean, everyone is pretty open. There's not a lot of cover. We do have some Newcastle ultimates around, but that's not going to last forever.
That's the best feeling, though, when you You're like, oh shoot, never mind, I got stuck. I was so high on the positioning of G2, and all of a sudden it went so poorly for them. Relegated to the low ground, they have now lost the element of surprise. Abralele and Designful having to heal up. What will they do as the zone is closing in 1 second? They're not able to pick up Resulta. They take to the skies as a two-man. We'll see how long they can survive up here, because they've got to be the focus of everyone in the lobby. They're landing directly on top of Vizio right now, circling back around to where they came from, and it puts them in no better of a position. There's no Newcastle wall here this time. CLG, Mike and Ike, everyone is shooting at G2.
Yeah, I would say Vizio might be in a good position here, but they are very open, and especially with all of these teams playing Valkyrie, it's just going to be free damage with her rockets on any team that decides to poke out first. Now, Vizio does have a clear look on both of the teams here. CLG still on the bottom, and they need to go back up if they want to survive this circle closure.
They're pulling at the G2 strats right now, making it all the way up to the top. They do find that last member of Mike and Ike, and we're into the top 3 squads just like that. CLG have made it in, and they need to stall out Vizio. That singularity will buy them a little bit of time, but it doesn't quite connect. Instead, focusing on G2, recognizing they could take out the otherwise second-place squad, but they lose Demi in the meantime. This is a Vizio victory for sure. At this point, we've got to imagine, but G2 are still alive, and CLG haven't been able to take them out. Vizio rounding the corner onto CLG. They are escorting them from the lobby, but they lose Blitz in the process, and now it's just one last member of G2 to try and style on it. Resulta gets cracked by the PK, and in between this shield cannot stay alive. Vizio take game 2.
Yeah, that was one of those situations where Vizio just had the better ground placement. They were just able to foresee everything. They had eyes on all the teams remaining. It was unfortunate. We almost saw G2 take first on this, but I mean, they just didn't have the positioning. It just wasn't there.
It was really unfortunate because normally I do like that truck position. In most Lava Fisher zones, we're pulling a lot more out into the open there. The spot that Vizio had isn't as playable, but just the way that game went, I don't know, it's kind of unlucky for G2 because they actually had a really good game outside of it.
It was very unlucky. I mean, it was just one of those things of getting screwed by not having position early. And we did see a lot of teams rotating early because they didn't want to get screwed by the circle or by not having position. And that we see a lot of pros doing that, making sure that they're in circle early, they have their positions, that they establish their dominance there. And Vizio just happened to have the better ground there.
I will say one of the beacons of hope in this game was that a lot of teams that didn't have great game ones, that weren't quite able to execute, still managed to pick up kills and actually rectify that in game 2. CLG, one of those teams after winning the 50-50 over by Harvester and making it all the way into 3rd place. That is a leap and bound way further ahead of what they achieved in game 1. Complexity, unfortunately, they had sort of the opposite story, right? Going out in 18th, I believe it was overall, perhaps 19th here. We get to see it on screen now as Monsoon was unfortunately left alone with really nothing to do in the 1v2.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we did see a lot of teams playing a lot better this time than game number 1, but I mean, it's game number 3, and we're going to see a lot of teams probably keeping the same pace. We didn't see a lot of fights happening until late circle, so I feel like that's going to be the norm here because a lot of people want to play more carefully. They want to loot more. We didn't see many drop fights this time, which is great.
Thank God, right? It was just the CLG SZN that we've got to keep our eyes on. That is going to be the one thing that will continue returning, but before we end up seeing more of those fights, I want to hear what Yeso has to say about Game 2.
It's funny you mention fights off drop there, Stella. I think Dia misses what we got yesterday because we got 6 games straight of Vizio and Nerf duking it out on drop, and that is on both maps, right? They met on World's Edge and on Stormpoint, and it ended up going 50-50 for those fight wins over the 6 games. So we'll have to see if maybe we get more of that later on in the day. But game 2 here belongs to Team Vizio, and they were just the beneficiaries of great positioning. Stella mentioned it there. They had the God spot in that zone, that nice little bit of high ground there. And of course, when you have the Newcastle in your composition, that's just an extra buff to holding those God spots because laying down that cover is so powerful. So Vizio really able to post up there along with the Watson, lock down that ground and just bide their time, wait for everybody to, wound each other, and then Vizio just comes in for the cleanup, and they did exactly that, taking out CLG, and then of course that final member there of G2. They picked up 10 kills in their effort, and that is huge, especially when you look at Complexity and their 22-point performance in game number 1. Now we'll have to see Vizio, how close are they to the top of the table, depending on what points they got in game 1. Maybe they've jumped up into first place, but that's a huge performance there for Vizio as they continue to try and charge for the top of the table here in Series E. But let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here for tonight's competition. And this is for game 2, and it was the end game, right? CLG finally coming up from the low ground, but there's so little cover to work with here. They have to deal with G2 right across the way, and Vizio bide their time, come in with great timing to clean up CLG here. They do lose Blitz, but it doesn't matter because Sung and Borton both very healthy. Borton able to get the armor swap, and it's just one last player that they have to deal with, and the PK shots were clean there to end up that fight. Yeah, CLG, you know, that rock doesn't do a ton, especially when Vizio has that nice bit of high ground to get a good vantage point on you, and then you get just full sent on with one player down. You're going to be hard-pressed to win this fight. You're lucky to get one knock there. But well played from Vizio, and they earn a nice win here in our second game of the day. They'll have to keep things rolling. It's been, you know, a struggle for the partnered squads over the first 2 pro nights so far this season. They'll have an opportunity to try and flip the script on the pro squads here tonight, so we'll see if Vizio can lead the way in that effort. We are going to go to a quick break. Before we do, though, a quick reminder that if you want to pick up products from any of our partners here at Series E, you can over at Esports Arena, or excuse me, at walmart.com/Esports Arena. If you need more info, esportsarena.com has you covered. But yes, if you need, you know, a new Intel processor for your PC, some brand new peripherals from Razer, you need some chicken from our friends at Tyson, and more, it's all over at walmart.com/Esports Arena. We're going to go to a quick break, though, right now. When we come back, we'll be getting ready for our final game on World's Edge.
Welcome back, folks, as we are returning with even more Series E and some dope Mike and Ike ads. The colors of Mike and Ike, they make me so happy. I cannot lie. I cannot tell a lie. Mike and Ike sponsor reads, they're my favorite. They're my favorite, Stella, and I'm excited to see more of their gameplay in Game 3.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've had Mike and Ike's. I think they look too close to the consistency of Red Hots, which I don't like. So.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's fine. I'll get you some, and we'll just have to. We'll see what you think. We'll do like a live stream taste test. Complexity. Let's see. Mobile One leaderboard. You know what we gotta do. Complexity. They're still in the lead. I gotta be honest. I don't know how. With Vizio winning that last game, how on earth are Complexity still topping the leaderboards? They had like a 0-point game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just shows you just how Complexity was playing in the first game. They definitely set the standard for themselves, which is great. They are lucky. They are very lucky that they're still at the top of the leaderboard, which I think they know. They didn't play that fight very well, so I think they know that they need to learn from their mistakes, which, I mean, Complexity is a great team, so we're probably not going to see them making that same mistake again. Now, different mistakes, I have no idea, because the Battle Royale still has lots of RNG in play, so who knows? But, I mean, I think that just speaks volumes on how well Complexity did in their first game.
It really does. That even Vizio, who picked the zone early on, who got involved in a lot of endgame fights, weren't able to echo that performance with nearly as many kills is really big, but as you said, complexity need to dial in. We've seen them adapt to different metas over the course of Apex. We've seen them shift out to teams. We've seen complexity do everything that a top team is expected to be able to do, and that has to include being able to reset their mentals heading into now what is the last game of World's Edge. We do have 6 games today, but after this, we're heading on over to Storm Point, where things change once again, Stella.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see. But that's like, here's the funny thing. Game number 4 is going to be like game number 1 on World's Edge, because that's the first game that, again, people aren't really sure where everyone's going to land. They don't know how it's going to play, how people play and change their playstyle on Storm Point. So it's going to be pretty fun. We do see an early fight again from CLG. CLG looking a little bit better here, but Dimmy and Mamba taking a little bit too much damage here.
Nano did assert his dominance with the punch to the face, though. I always like it when the melee ends up coming in. Nice nade to buy him a little of space as well. It's just a P2020 in his hands, but in a 2 versus 1, it should be enough. Nano gets a lot of damage down. Shield swap comes in, but SZN, they are no more, and the contest continues with a little bit of respect crouching at the very end of it. Bad Boys, they've got a 50-50 of their own, lest we forget. At the very end, Charge Rifle doesn't quite do the necessary damage, but Yubo's coming around the side, and with the Prowler not connecting, it's fine, because Juke's got your back. We've got 2 teams down already, and the circle just started counting down.
I was going to say, you know, I'm glad that they did end up finishing that fight, because it was looking great on that POV, but you know what? That's why it's a team-based game. We do see them coming in. Mike and Ike, that team that you were just talking about, let's see if they can match their gameplay to be as colorful as the actual candy.
Right now, Wiz has been all the colors of pain. He did lose his shield, but it seems that they have managed to, at least for the moment, push out evidently Vizio, who were pushing up on them. Los Demonios starting to come around the side as well, hearing the action and going, hey, I think there's some folks around here. Our winners of Game 2 are now gone, Stella.
Yeah, I mean, Vizio, again, I think they're a strong team, but we haven't really seen them be very consistent. And Complexity is a team that has always been consistent. Obviously, last game, that was something that they didn't really count on. But I think we're going to be seeing more of the teams as the games go on, the more of the teams that are more consistent scoring and winning more fights here.
I'm hoping that we see that change as well when we hit Storm Point. A lot of teams' play styles have different levels of consistency on different maps, right? Especially, I think G2 is the team that we can look forward to, especially with this new iteration of it. One of the teams that we saw succeed on Storm Point yesterday near the end was Tyson, and their play style also really well adapted to Storm Point as they started really seriously playing at the top of their game when Storm Point was introduced. And I'm curious how that'll impact them. With Los Demonios, however, pushing up, they've got some words to trade with Mike and Ike, who, while they have a building, don't have a whole lot of safety here. Habitat ends up going out offensively, and MJ all the way in the back, still safe, but you're losing territory as Mike and Ike, and there is nowhere to play behind you.
Yeah, I mean, they might be okay for now, but they need to be landing these shots if they do want to establish some sort of boundary here. But it looks like they are getting pushed here. They do end up getting it down. MJ pushing out a little bit too far. Does take a little bit too much damage here. Mar trying to connect any of these shots. Wiz, he's definitely taken a little bit too much damage. They're going to have to back off and reset a little bit here. Los Demonios now is down to a 1v3.
Oh no, that was such a good initial nade, but going for the second one was just a little too much. Los Demonios end up getting cursed, their gumption a little too much for their own good. And now we're down to 16 squads. It seems like our last game on World's Edge, also home to a little bit of chaos, because just last game, we had like 20 teams still alive after the first zone. This time, we've already got 4 out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe people are feeling a little more confident after game number 2, and they know that this is the last game on World's Edge, so why not full send it? Who knows? I never understand people's game psychology, but here we are.
It's the most difficult thing about casting Apex Legends is going, well, there are 3 different people on this team. Were they all thinking the same thing at the same time? What on earth was that thing? Trying to decode it and put it into bite-sized chunks so that people can sort of empathize with the players as well. Esports Arena, I think they're giving us a little bit of a break, though, because it's pretty easy to understand what's going on for both them and Oxygen. They picked a place, they went, this is safe, and they're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good position to be in. Obviously, they want Kubsky to get a little bit more of shield here. We do see Renegades also kind of in the same general area. But, I mean, we're just going to be seeing a lot of teams kind of staying here, bunkering down, trying to establish their locations. Because, again, in game number 2, we saw what happens when you rotate late.
It is not fun at all. Renegades, they are blessed with the ability to rotate early, coming up from tree where they ultimately land. They've got a 30-30 in the center building that should give them a lot of Evo shields come the late game. One of the things that is, of course, ridiculously important, having that extra little bit of effective health, no matter how frequently you're able to heal up. 100 Thieves, they don't have access to that same advantage nearly as early on, and after their, I would say, rude ejection from last game, I think it's less about making a comeback here because their placement was good and more about sending a message. So 100 Thieves, they've picked a pretty terrible spot to generally fight over, but with Watson in Newcastle, hey, maybe they can turn, as Rampart would say, crap into gold.
Ah, yeah, that she does say that.
Yeah.
I don't play her nearly enough. I do have her heirloom, so I have that. I love her cute little like dino munching animation. That's like the best part. But I honestly don't play her enough. I should.
She's got really good quotes. That's why I started playing Rampart. I don't even feel like she's that amazing anymore. It's just whenever I'm in a bad mood, whenever I'm a little tilted, her quotes actually they really make me laugh. So I'll throw out some more Rampart quotes if they become relevant at all throughout this game. For right now, Watson seems to be the most relevant thing, as 100 Thieves have decided that is how they are going to claim this corner of heaven. Though the fences are not agreeing with them right now, they're setting up a big perimeter.
This is going to be very interesting because, I mean, they still have the entire bridge there that they can get looked down at. So it's not like it's... hey man, maybe those fences are supposed to be their distraction or something. I'm sure there's some sort of plan here. It is very interesting though. I'm trying to figure out what exactly they're doing. Like, yes, this might deter a push from behind, but it is a very open area that you can definitely get walked in on.
Yeah, for sure. It is not really the most enviable position in the lobby, and that's also something, we see some teams try and play around. 100 Thieves go, who's not going to be here? Everyone else. We're going to take this spot, and we're going to let everyone else fight each other because we have a terrible position in the lobby, so why would they focus us? That's got to be the thinking, or at least that's the one excuse that I could make for what we're seeing right now. If any teams, if any players, any people better than me want to try and explain it, feel free, go for it in the chat. I'll read up on it later. With Oxygen, however, having a much more stable position inside these buildings and a recently renewed Watson ultimate to negate any incoming artillery, they've got a spot that's going to age very well. It's inside the next ring. It's likely inside the following one. And Tyson, they seem pretty comfortable as well, making their way in through the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really facing a lot of resistance right here, and we're probably not going to be seeing them getting resisted here since most people are in buildings. I do worry a little bit about Joey being a little bit further behind because they could easily get focused by all those teams existing in those buildings. And I don't know if they're going to be able to find a spot that is open, which is why we do see Joey trying to set up for something potentially outside if they have to.
For it? There we go. I'll make a spot. That's what Newcastle says. And he doesn't actually say that. That's not a quote from Newcastle. Let me just be absolutely crystal clear.
Oh, no.
He has much more creative quotes. Nerf, on the other hand, they haven't had to make anything since they, much like Renegades, were able to claim one of these buildings. One of these buildings that are miraculously not being contested by anyone else. When we normally see those, multiple people can inhabit them. The bridge, not nearly so lucky, though. That's more of a one-squad kind of deal. And Razor seem to want it. Tossing in the nades right now. No Watson generator to interrupt it. They're only finding the Newcastle shield on the other side, and having completely thirsted out Joey, they're leaving Tyson now one big key defensive tool down.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Razor definitely played that right. They waited until Joey had put down his ultimate to make sure that they could use the backs. I mean, he had no shield. They had nothing to protect themselves, so they definitely waited, and now they're just setting up here. They're still good, and they do have the 30-30, so they're just going to be able to take any long-distance shots that they want here.
It's so valuable in these circles as well, and that's one of the things that is really underrated about circle prediction, when you're able to say, hey, not only do I know where the zone is going, but I can actually sort of extrapolate from that and say, a long-range weapon, going to be really good here. Devotion, interestingly, prioritized by Zach Mazer, as he should be able to get the res off here. Caustic Trap, going to buy a little bit of time even after that door gets graped by the Arc Star, but Complexity being in your way as Cloud9 does not inspire confidence, especially because they've got a Watson and nowhere to go. So much space and safety is afforded to Complexity right now, simply because the zone is going to continue giving them time.
Yeah, Complexity already looking a lot better than game number 2. Looks like they are being a little bit more strategic about things. So we'll hopefully see them in the end circles. We see a lot. We see Juke and Davis's team all the way outside of circle, though. They are in for a world of hurt once they start making the rotations. Whoever wins that fight, they are not going to be in a good position.
It looks like Tyson's trying to get a res out here with Bad Boys coming up on them. They did get Joey back into the game, but it's just another KP given over to another team. Z Davis getting chased down now, and Ox the Aries is going to have to dip outside of the zone to get his Newcastle back into it, if he even makes it there. The Peacekeeper is really starting to hit home, and without the door to give him safety, he ends up going down. Bad Boys collect a second KP, and are likely going to make it a third before the day is out. The likelihood that they've got that Valkyrie redeploy to jump right on top of Z Davis is pretty darn high, and even if they don't, I don't even know where you run to with Z Davis.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. Tyson was one of the stronger looking teams with their positioning, but then they just got completely screwed, and now they are scrambling to get any bearings on where exactly they need to go, and it's just going to be Davis.
Gold shield plus the passive shield regeneration gives you, over time, a really nice bit of effective sustained health, but as Watson, you just don't have a whole lot of ability to avoid the 3-man push. G2 are going to be pushing up in the meanwhile over by this vault, and with the bow in hand, we've got a lot of bow check gamers really coming up. This was not a gun that was meta before, but something has changed in the past month or two that has made everybody recognize that, hey, the bow check's actually kind of cracked.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and this is your last chance to play it before it goes into the care package for next season.
Don't tell me still. I'm so sad. I'm actually so sad about the bow going into Crafter. I was telling you, bow 2X, you know, it's what I run. It's my thing, and it was the original loadout. Back when I was feeling really confident, I was like, I'm gonna run a bow, I'm gonna run a car, and that's just how I'm gonna do things. And unfortunately, I'm just not gonna be able to do that anymore. Cars in the Crafter, bows going into the care package. It's like Respawn doesn't even care about me.
Well, I mean, it's just funny. They're like, so many people wanted the bow in the actual care package for so long, and now that people actually realized, oh, you know what, it's in a good spot. I actually like it. You know, now they're like, oh wait, we didn't mean it. We take it back. We didn't mean it. There you go.
You can't take back these painful words anymore. We're gonna have to say goodbye to it for a time, but it's your last chance to see and enjoy these players making full use of it. For right now, CLG making use of their rotations, don't actually use the Singularity to finish off the push. Instead, I think a nice move by Nano to just close that door, sit in front of it, and make sure they're going to be able to coexist with Nerf. Something I'm surprised didn't happen earlier, and now that Nerf are aware of the team below them, they really can't do that much about it. It's very difficult to uproot a squad below you, especially when they've got a Caustic.
And then here we see Team Razor kind of struggling to... Oh! Wrong time to heal there, but put up a good fight, but Razor was eliminated, and Bad Boys are now taking their position here. They are in circle here, so they're okay for now, but they may have to move. We're not exactly quite sure where the next circle's going to pull, but yeah, this is just going to be one of those situations where they just have to wait and hold this ground. But they can fully reset. G2 in an active fight here.
After that Horizon push, tell me Apex Legends isn't a horror game. Tell G2 right now, who are feeling exactly the same thing, as the Peacekeeper crests the hill and they get 2 taken out. Mike and Ike, they're taking the fight straight to him.
No.
Although they lose both shields, the Crack with the 99 damage on the Peacekeeper ends up setting them up for success, and they take another engagement. They do have intel coming in for the third party, though. Nice Seer scan does reveal and actually push Bowser back. Can Mike and Ike take a second 3v3 in as many minutes? They're right now trying to get a little bit of height, and Intel seem to have really not been able to access this in the way that they wanted to. They don't have height, they don't have angles. Instead, all they've got is the Prowler Spitfire, the Rampart Special, and we gotta hope that that's enough. 3 seconds left on the Gravity Lift. Singularity still available. You've got to have nades for this, and there we go. In goes the Singularity. Out comes the Flatline to deal the damage, and Blur goes low, actually getting taken down. The Peacekeepers doing work, and we've got the trade of 1-for-1 so far. It's still a 2 versus 1 on the other end of this, as far as I'm aware. James Fearless ends up finishing it off. Mike and Ike go down. Well, the bad boys, they're fighting inside of Geyser and end up taking their 3v3 really nicely. It's another team taken out. Complexity are down, and C9 are next as bad boys roll from fight to fight.
Now we do see Excedrin here trying to get into this fight here. I mean, we're just not being able to get this connection here. Do finally take them down here, and I believe this is against Renegades. They just beat them out here.
Very nicely done. A good push from Excedrin. Renegades forced to relocate to a place where they were not comfortable as Nerf continue to hold the high ground up here. They've got to be aware of everybody encroaching on their space. Teams like that are going to be coming up behind them, and Nerf are also going to have to vacate the building in much the same way Renegades did. We saw how that treated Renegades. Let's hope that Nerf can execute it a little bit better.
They're looking pretty good. I mean, they do have to move up, but they have a bit of cover here, and they are looking pretty decent with their shields, but they are aware that there's someone directly in front of them that they do need to contest for this position. Just, you know, honestly, why delay the inevitable? I mean, it's unfortunate. CLG is now out. Mamba getting eliminated as a final member of CLG, out in 9th place.
That's tough. You know, we said it was difficult to uproot the team that had the caustic, the stat right below you, but it seems like it's kind of done itself. Oh my god, 100 Thieves! Scurry going off with this 30-30 really causes problems for this, what otherwise would have been an uninterruptible 3v3. Does have that Newcastle as well with the ultimate up to be able to crest a little bit more distance, but we're seeing exactly what you were talking about earlier with the team right behind. That was a full thirst with a perfectly placed nade. What on earth am I watching right now?
That was absolutely disgusting. I mean, 100 Thieves are not a team to be reckoned with here, and we do see that their positioning here, their guess on where the zone is going to pull is pretty good, but they are going to be playing on the edge here, so they're not going to have a whole lot of space. That bridge is still going to be exposed to them, but I mean, honestly, if you're a team on the bridge, what are you doing?
It seems like that strat from earlier is working out. Nobody cares about the position of 100 Thieves. They're just letting them have it. Well, Torrent very much care about the position that Oxygen had, not using that in the past tense. Now they've uprooted them. It's the bad boys that are coming in for what we are expecting to be yet another 3v3 win. They have lost promos, though. Could Torrent be the thing that takes them down? Rambo has ended up going out, and we've got Keon taken down as well. It's RKN against the world. He's already taken out Juke. It's Yubo versus RKN in this final battle. As Peacekeepers come out, 95 directly to the face, and RKN gets taken out by Yubo. The bad boys clean up another fight as Excedrin tries for that third party and finally end up taking down the monsters of this lobby.
You know, Excedrin capitalized on a good situation for themselves, but my goodness, we cannot count out how great that fight was against Torrent there. I mean, they had every single upper hand, and they lost that fight.
It's true, it is wild to see a situation like that, especially with pro players, right? But that is the X factor that professional Apex Legends brings in. Everybody's playing at the top of their game, and if you make one misstep, all of a sudden, that 3v3 that could have gotten you God spot, it's out of your control. 100 Thieves, they don't make too much of a misstep right here, actually getting a nice stun down onto Force, an assist from afar. Oh, this should be another kill going in their favor. Nerf end up going out, and Scurry takes him out.
Scurry, what was that? What was that spray? Can we talk about that?
He was covering all the angles. He was like,
oh my god, what was that? That was, you know, okay, I guess we won't fixate on that. I'm just, that is unbelievable.
There's some moments that you wish just weren't caught on stream, right? As a player, you're like, could we not have shown that? And that may be one of them. I could see that. I could see that being true. Esports Arena, though, is a good moment for them to be featured, shall we say, as they've actually got a really nice position, usurping it from 100 Thieves earlier, and with Phony starting to push up, this guy's Newcastle is the thing that inspired my Newcastle hype train, so we're going to see what they can do with it underneath the bridge, where, again, they shouldn't really be focused. 100 Thieves are right above them, but they've got to deal with the other team on the bridge, and that's not looking like it's going to be too easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves, they are looking pretty decent here. Obviously, this isn't the best location, but I mean, honest, where are you going to go? So they do have active looks on high and low ground. They might get shot out here. They're going to have to move, and yeah, they are aware of all the other teams now. ESA, not looking super great there, looking a little unhealthy.
Yeah, these throwables have really been causing them a lot of problems. Able to heal up for right now. There's this small breather for 30 seconds more until this zone starts to close. 100 Thieves will be approaching this with full health. Gold helmet on Scurvy as well. They are actually giving the gold backpack for an additional little help on the res. It appears not. They're actually trading out knockdown shields to give him just this little bit of an extra edge, because every second is going to matter up on this bridge. Ult is up, and you'll have a little bit more space to play with. Do 100 Thieves prioritize the bridge? Do they fight with Esports Arena perhaps over that? Or do they try and go head-to-head with Intel on the other side?
Yeah, this is a tough location. I mean, yeah, ESA also has to pull out pretty early here. They do drop their ultimate, but I don't know if that would be best used there, honestly, because they're going to be the ones that have to go out on low ground first, and we do see that we do see the fences underneath 100 Thieves there. Intel, yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to see. Everyone's just poking at each other until someone moves first, and then that team is going to get caught out immediately.
Intel are able to lay out a nice bit of damage. That missile swarm really doing work right now, but they are the one team that doesn't have that Newcastle, that doesn't have that temporary safety, and they got to use this rock for all that it is worth. ESA are making that very difficult as Bowser takes a chunk to the face. The throwables are starting to come in. This is living pain for Intel as they get focused down. 2 members already knocked to the floor. James Fearless is down. We've got 100 Thieves looking at them from above the bridge, sharing space with Esports Arena, who have lost one. There is going to have to be a res on this low ground. We'll see how that ends up working out. Fury's right above Onmu as well. I'm not sure if this is spotted, but right now with Scissors being full thirsted, it's 100 Thieves that have the advantage. They drop down into the low ground, get this quick res on Onmu just for the temporary health, but ultimately they end up going out. Esports Arena, it's 2 versus 2 in the end. Get 2 versus 1, shall I say, as Esports Arena end up taking the 3rd game on World's Edge.
Okay, yeah, that almost res was really bad there. I don't know why they chose to go for that, but I'm glad they won it. Was not expecting that. I expected everything to go south after that failed res, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We all make mistakes.
It like almost worked. It would have been really cool. Imagine like the style res, you know? You're like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm here. Oh, I'm rezzing. Oh, gear down. That would be really cool. But you know, it's not the play. And you and I both know it's not the play. 100 Thieves, they know it's not the play. And unfortunately for them, they're gonna have to take that one back to the drawing board. But for a team that started with a terrible position, think about how well that went.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, they just played very patiently there, and yeah, if 100 Thieves hadn't messed that up, they may have been in the fight for a little bit longer, but it was just unfortunate for them.
Crap into gold for these guys. We said it before, and I'm sure that I will be saying it again, because we've got me on this hype train now. So we'll see if 100 Thieves can have another performance that perhaps takes them to even higher highs. But speaking of high highs, I think it's only fair that we talk about Bad Boys. Unfortunately, the Prowler shots for Yubo weren't it there, but Bad Boys was a team that was running this lobby. This is actually them right here, just pushing up and eliminating Razor so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they may be pulling up enough points now. I'm not quite sure where they are after this. Obviously, we'll take a look at the leaderboard after. But, I mean, they are performing pretty well. We saw that they were able to hold their own in fights and take positions from other teams, which is great. So hopefully they can keep that going into Storm Point, because we don't know how these teams are going to perform there.
Really don't. Intel, who ultimately had a really nice performance. They ended up clutching up the 3rd place, getting a lot of kills here as well. This was where they really started to be put on the radar, third-partying the fight after G2 ended up going down. That was nice for them. While Bad Boys continued to clean up, they got, I'm seeing at least 7, 8 kills right now, and I know they turned it into at least another one. So a 9, perhaps 10 kill game for this squad. The casual stick from Enemy was what we're expecting of this player at this point. I know that Yeso talked about it on the desk. We've been speaking about Enemy for quite a long time, and we had so many highlight plays. It seems that we always do in Series E, but especially on Pro Night, where the margins are so thin.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen, especially with Turbocharger being in the crafter now. So honestly, a really good day for our energy gun lovers here, because you can just craft that. So we did see the turbocharger. We saw the devotion being used as well. So it'll be interesting to see what people decide to use on Stormpoint, because that does turn into something where you see people changing up their gunplay, or you see them changing up which legends they use. So
yeah. I was running around with a flatline earlier today. I walked up and I was like, I'm going to craft a heavy mag. And then I saw the turbocharger and I was like, I guess it's Havoc for the rest of the day, right? For more insight on that and perhaps what Stormpoint holds for us, let's hear what Yeso has to say about our games.
Turbocharger and the Crafter, I agree with you, Dia. I think it is a Havoc day for me. Esports Arena grabbing the win there in Game 3, our final game on World's Edge for today. And we'll have to see if maybe Esports Arena can do much of what they did yesterday. They had a win on both World's Edge and Stormpoint last night, and they were able to parlay that into an overall victory last night. They've got that World's Edge win tonight. Do they have a Stormpoint win and maybe a first-place overall finish tonight? We will have to find out in our final 3 games, but let's see how the team performed in this one. Not their biggest performance here in game number 3, but they do pick up 6 kills. Solid damage numbers, everybody contributing on that front, so they do grab an 18-point performance in this one. And the interesting thing is that the way these first 3 games have shaken out, and especially with how the, upper end of the leaderboard didn't really jump away from the pack in game 2, likely means that we go into Stormpoint with this competition essentially wide open, right? You're still going to have complexity at the top. You're still going to have Vizio. You're going to have Esports Arena up there in the top 5 as well. But when you look at a lot of our Series E competitions, sometimes you see through those first 3 games that kind of top 5 really pulls away from the pack. They kind of build up that huge gap. But with the way things have shaken out so far today, I think it's actually going to be much closer. And with 3 games still to go, a good chunk of the lobby is still going to be in the running if they can get hot in game 4. You have to start now, though, because the longer it takes you, the more difficult that task is going to be. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One high performance moment here for our last game on World's Edge for the day. And, of course, it's going to be this end game, and Team Esports are able to clutch up. 100 Thieves did have the high ground, but with where this circle is pushing, they had to jump off of it fairly early, and this damage onto Onmu over on the cliff really costs 100 Thieves as Scurry tries to get down here, looks for that gold bag res, but those different firing lines just mean that Scurry can't hold it with that purple knockdown, and Team Esports Arena able to clutch up here. They go for this final push onto Team Intel and clean up the game. So well played there from Esports Arena, and a nice victory for them here on World's Edge. And yeah, this is just unfortunate for 100 Thieves. They're kind of covering multiple different sightlines, trying to get some work here on the Intel squad, hiding behind those rocks, and they do get a lot of damage. And even Scurry, they're able to get the knock onto Bowser. But just due to the unfortunate circumstances for Onmu going down, meaning that 100 Thieves no longer has that numbers advantage on both of the other squads, totally changes the complexion of this final fight. And it's why Team Esports Arena is able to grab the win. Well played there from Team Esports Arena. They close out our first half of today with a huge victory, and we'll have to see if they could keep that rolling as we head over to Stormpoint for the back half of today. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you about a little something new we are doing at Esports Arena locations all across the country, and it's called PvE. Now, we know some of you folks, you like to really dig into a tournament. You want 3 or 4 hours to grind through something like Series E or other events. But some of you want to have esports competition in a little bit more bite-sized pieces, and PvE provides just that. The way it works is you can go out to your local esports arena today. You can find one by using ! locations in Twitch chat right now. You go out, purchase some tokens, and then you can enter in different leaderboards. Each leaderboard is a different game or mode across things like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Home Run Derby, Mario Kart, Valorant, Aim Labs, Apex Legends, Guilty Gear Strive, and more. We're always doing new modes, new game types, and new titles, but you just enter, put up your best scores, and you can win cash. We have thousands of dollars in pricing every single week for all of these different leaderboards, and you can get in on the fun today. So again, exclamation point locations, go to your local esports arena, purchase some tokens to enter, and put up your best scores. And the nice thing is, you can go in, compete on a Wednesday, Thursday night, head home, and you can keep track of where your scores are on the leaderboard at our 24/7 live stream over on the Esports Arena YouTube channel. So maybe you fall down that leaderboard a little bit, you can head back in on the weekend and compete some more. So go in, compete, put up your best scores in PvE, and you can win cash prizes today at your local Esports Arena. And you can see maybe if you can compete with Fizzy here in some Aim Labs competition, our resident FPS player here in the building. I hear he's a pretty sick
Why they gotta be so squishy?
Titanfall 2
Why they gotta be so
speedrunner,
squishy?
I believe it is. You know, Fizzy may give me a thumbs up there. I think Titanfall 2 is what he's got, but you know, he knows his way around a first-person shooter. So if you think you could beat Fizzy and players all across the country, if you're that Mario Kart star in your friend group, go out, compete in PvE today, and show us what you got. Focus up, Fizzy. Come on, no laughter. It's all about the scores here. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So go out to your local esports arena today and compete at PvE. We'd love to see you there very, very soon. 3 games down, 3 more to go tonight. We've got Storm Point ahead of us here for Series E Pro Night, so don't go far. We'll be back in just a few.
Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends, where we are jumping on to Stormpoint in a few minutes. But before we do that, Stella, there's something very important that we must do, and that is check in with the Mobile One leaderboards. See where, oh my
Wow,
God.
all right.
Bad boys, please, what are they doing to the rest of the lobby?
Yeah, that must have been a huge game for them there. I mean, 42 points. That is almost 20 points over Complexity, who is in second place. Now, remember, we are only giving out prize money for first and second place. And look at Esports Arena is tied with Complexity, actually.
They could overtake this with their win in Game 3. They put themselves right up next door to our winners of Game 1, who unfortunately have been, I don't know, having a little bit of a difficult time, right? We are changing things up. Things are going to get different and perhaps not even favoring our top 3. But something tells me that Bad Boys aren't going to be nearly as affected by the map change as everyone else, because one thing stays the same between these two maps, and that is that your W key still does exactly what it's meant to.
Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, we'll see if Bad Boys can keep up that sort of energy, because I feel like it was a really good game, and we'll see if they can keep up that same sort of momentum, because I mean, it does suck though to see Complexity not really moving up in points, because they have not been able to stay consistent at all in the last 3 matches. So we'll see. Hopefully Bad Boys can, I mean, they are going to be extremely confident going into game number 4 here on Storm Point. So they're really going to set the pace for the match.
Yeah, it's funny to think of the way that Complexity won the first game, right? And how it was just third party into third party into third party. That was really well lined up for them, and what looked calculated. It's not something they've been able to replicate, and we've got to wonder whether they're going to be able to replicate that success, because the consistency is what we reward, of course. Our partner squads, however, they've had their moments of consistency as well. It's not just Esports Arena that has had their time to shine, but even Intel last game actually looking quite good, and I'm hoping, praying that the 50-50s that we had just yesterday take a step back, especially today, where again we said Nerf and Vizio were contesting each other constantly. Now we look towards Mill, right? And maybe we see the same thing going on again. Maybe we get these teams risking a little bit more, and I'd like to see them take that step forward and say, you know what, I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to get the bigger point total at the end of the day. You can have Mill.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a pretty big map, lots of places for these teams to go. But again, everyone's going to be feeling out where exactly people are going to be landing, how that's going to play, because maybe the team next to them is going to push them immediately after drop. So we'll see. I mean, we do see a pretty even spread currently, but we're going to have to take a look at where exactly people go, how exactly they want to fight. And I mean, Blue Zone is always going to change as well, and that might change the dynamic as well.
Fourth game of the day, but totally different experience, as we're expecting this first game to be pretty darn hot as teams figure out where exactly these other squads like to rotate and how they want to play their best game of Apex Legends on today. Esports Arena, however, they are a consistent team, especially on this map, and landing up over here, they have done so well whenever we get North Poles. Instant early scan is going to give them so much more better information on whether and how they'll be able to use this high ground that they have. Right now, obviously, Valkyrie providing them a lot of nice value if they want to try and ult over by high point, maybe even use the balloon, and honestly, just get themselves right into second circles, because you can actually traverse that distance.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job of, I mean, this entire lobby is doing a great job of utilizing Valkyrie. We did see a lot of Valk picks right off the bat as well. Vizio already down 2 members here, and it's down to Blitz, but I think he's just going to have to full retreat here because he is just a solo player right off drop.
You remember, it is exactly what I was saying before we got into the lobby as well, was will the Nerf Vizio fight ensue? And right now, Nerf, they're winning it pretty darn handily. Vizio opened the door to their demise and ultimately get taken down. Excedrin maybe facing down the same thing. Gruesome gets some really nice damage in with the Prowler. Unfortunately, now out of ammunition. That can only happen one more time. You got to be very careful about how you do it. Door gets grief. Gruesom's going to have to pop outside. Does get that crack, but no knock. Instead, it's the bad boys. Surprise, surprise, who come in and clean up Excedrin.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for them. Just one of those situations where just the drop loot isn't good enough for you to actually contest in fights. So unfortunate, but lots of early game fights. It seems like people are getting a little bit more aggressive on game number 4, even with the map change.
And if this is staying the same as it has been, this should be CLG contesting G2 over here. This is not a contest that I'm particularly envious of, especially when you lose Nano that early on, but Aberlele taking him down at least confirms who you're fighting up against. And G2, they know as well as we do, this is their fight to lose at this point. Designful's taking the slow heals right now, but with Resultant getting chunked out, you're going to need to cancel on that heal to keep yourselves on the front foot. Nice data provided by Aberlele, actually keeps his team in the know, and now it's Resulta who's able to keep them on the high ground.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good here. They do have looks at every single location here. Mamba does have to leave Nano here, so CLG kind of struggling right off the bat.
I think at this point right now, he should no longer be in sniff range of the Seer, so should be able to get out and rat this one relatively effectively. Gravity Cannon actually wouldn't even be that bad of an idea, especially because they probably already know the way that you went, but he thinks about getting his teammates, says goodbye to them, and there's not really going to be anyone down here for the time being, so as long as he lands safe, he's going to be able to survive. Oxygen, on the other hand, they've already rotated out of their POI, seem to be looking for some nice PvE engagements with the Spooters right down below, but Complexity above have actually spotted this out, and they might be able to take out Surprise member of Oxygen. Shoot their shot, 14 damage, not the dream, but still, you know, nice crack gets thrown in. Complexity could take this fight yet.
Yeah, Complexity doing a really good job just biding their distance, but of course they are going to be rotating out, so I think they are going to chase, but I don't know. We'll take a look here. We do see a lot of early game fights here. 30-30 and the Peacekeeper for a hot pot, which is an interesting choice. And they are actively chasing, but I don't know how far they're actually going to go for this.
We'll find out. Something tells me that with the amount of damage that they've already done, they're feeling confident enough to go far. But Arcstar changes that right in front of them, and with Shiny waiting on the other side, Complexity have made a different call as a team. Shiny specifically being the one to say, guys, slow down. It's Storm Point. We can get third-partied over here, especially in this area where we do see a lot of teams tending to clump up on each other, especially in these buildings that, while they may look safe, are not nearly as, shall we say, defensible as those on World's Edge.
Ooh, you see Esports Arena, who is tied in second and third right now, fighting for their lives here. Fury trying to get out of here.
Ooh! Ooh! Oh my god, he almost got it.
Unfortunate. Yeah, and it's Bad Boys again that we see fighting it out and killing the second place squad, Esports Arena. Unfortunate there. They almost got the down, but just wasn't enough.
I mean, of course it's the Bad Boys. I don't know what these guys ate for breakfast today, but it is, it's got to be delicious, nutritious, and kind of aggression inspiring, honestly. They've been scaring me, and after these games, I'm probably going to stay off ranked for a little while just to make sure that I don't encounter the same energy that they're giving right now in my games. But Complexity, they may be the next to receive it, is really close to checkpoint right now. They're sitting on white shields, and if anybody hits you, if anybody gets a whiff that you are still on whites, there is going to be no stopping the ape.
Yeah, it looks like they are just kind of holding out all the other teams that are in the area. I mean, we do see where the next circle is going to be, and we do see a lot of teams kind of migrating there. So we're going to be seeing a lot of action on the outskirts where these rotation points are.
Ooh, Messiah walks right up next to Complexity. I don't think he was spotted, though. He might have an angle on this roof. We'll see what the audio lets people know. Instead, it's going to be the 301 shots that'll let Complexity know. Things are not as good as they might otherwise seem. Mobile Shield buys them a little bit more time, though, and it'll only cost them shield cells. Well, meanwhile, Nerf get chunked out relatively heavily, losing some shields of their own. Complexity are able to heal up in here and still have the Watson ult should they need it. Phoenix kit's actually being used by 2 members. C9, check it out. Running double scans here and sitting in a car. This is confidence. This is confidence pure and simple, Stella.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a bold move, but oh, here we go. All right, Nerf actively contesting here, breaking down the doors, catching all 3 of them in here in the ultimate. It does get shot out, but it does create enough space that Nerf could push in if they want to, but they're not pushing together as a team. This could end up not working out for them.
Like the split of angles they have so far. Nice beam gets found. Messiah doesn't quite get that knock, though. He's about 1 HP off of making it work. Flatline on the other side makes short work of the mobile shield, but it isn't enough to get the knock just yet. Nerf are still playing on these thin margins, and without being able to actually eliminate a member of the opposing team, they're going to be stuck just like the rest of us. EMP ends up coming in, and Complexity has set up a nice defensive position here, despite their absolute dog water shields. These guys are able to defend against a push, and honestly, don't even really look like they're in danger.
I don't know why Nerf didn't push that. If they had actually fully pushed and dedicated, they would have absolutely demolished them. But they played so carefully, and they were just so afraid to engage. This is the type of hesitation you don't want to see from teams, especially on Pro Night, because you're not going to get anything out of it, and you're most likely going to get third-partied and probably killed and eliminated for it.
It seems like it's contagious as well. Mike and Ike to get a little bit hesitant there. Valkyl taking off. This guy does get cracked. And actually, there's one knock here. Is it on the Valkyrie? It is. As one member falls back down to the sky.
Yep, and that's
do
intel
not
out.
Know how. There we go. Holy moly. I was like, where are the other 2?
Nope, it was last member of Intel, unfortunately. Was not able to get that skyward dive off, which in these lobbies, you don't want to be doing that while unprotected. So, I mean, unfortunate.
It is. I you got to take the risk sometimes, you know, the Valk ult, it's tempting. Because if you get up into the sky, it's hard to take you down, but sometimes you just don't get there. And we got to call unlucky, hope that it doesn't happen next game. Razor, in the meantime, they are making things happen. I'll say that they're also taking quite a bit of damage in the process, so we'll see whether it's actually worth it as they figure out they're fighting against purple shields right now, which is a lot harder, especially since they've still got a white on Hollow. They're going to be able to back off further into Command Center right now. Ring's not pulling over this way. We still got a ways to go over into Checkpoint. But Los Demonios, if they're able to hold on to this real estate, have a really nice angle to use their own redeploy to get a lot of distance. Right there by the gravity cannon is really... I don't know what's happening.
Nerf,
I don't know
please. Did you just stop playing? I don't know what's going on there. I want to believe that Nerf had a plan going into this location, but it just seems like they really kind of choked here. They didn't know what they wanted to do, and Mike and Ike just got an easy fight. They barely took any damage.
Yeah, kind of a... I don't really know what to say. Honestly, Stella, there are a lot of things that I'm used to analyzing. Standing still is not one of them, and perhaps it was a visual bug. Could have been a million things, but Mike and Ike, regardless, are going to be thankful for the 3 KP. They're actually able to push G2 off of the third party with how effectively they were able to repel that, and they've got their own slice of what looks like a very nice ring pulled for them. It'll pull them right out of the low ground, but they shouldn't be the focus of anyone for a little while. G2 have still got to solve this puzzle as though they are inside of the current ring. When this one closes, they've only got a little while to reposition inside. It's not the worst spot, though, because Valkyrie does solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, also, they're not too far off that they couldn't just walk in, and that might be the safer option, honestly, without revealing where they are. Now, Los Demonios, they do need to be moving out now. They do see other teams, of course, moving ahead of them because they're all outside of circle. So they're going to be going in really late, and this might be a problem for them.
Now, Hollow already chunked out, isn't going to be trying to land on anybody too aggressively, especially since you're not operating at full HP, and that full HP is already relatively low compared to everyone else's, but we're still taking a pretty highly prized spot, if not in this zone, in a lot of other zone pulls. When we go over to North Pad, this building gets contested over a lot. We saw many team fights happen here just yesterday, but for the most part, Razor seem to have rolled correctly. Nobody's actually here, and luckily enough for them, they get to continue on in the lobby. Unfortunately, they still do have a quite literal uphill battle ahead of them, as they will have to access Checkpoint later.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing them just kind of existing here. They made it out from a pretty weird rotation, so I think they're just going to try to loot around, see what else they can get to keep their health up. We do see C9 coming back through this choke point, unable to really figure out where exactly they want to go, but it looks like they figured out they do want to just walk through this choke point. They are aware of this other team still sitting here, and they have double scans. Yeah, so they are going to try to just isolate this fight.
A lot of information here. Unfortunately, not a whole lot of damage for C9, even off of those double scans for right now. Gent's going to get another one in the next 13 seconds. They haven't chosen to ult for this, but there we go. As I say that, they decide it is important enough that they need to expend that extra little bit of a cooldown. Naughty loses all of their shields, however, out goes the Habitat, and now you know where everyone is at all times. So surely, if it's a war of information, C9 should be winning it. Singularity comes in right behind them, however, and that's going to make things a little bit more difficult. Now, unfortunately, unable to move as easily as they would like. They're aiding Peacekeeper shots. Finally, a crack comes through for them, and Gent, he knows that now is the time to strike, but a door stands between C9 and the enemy. Finally, an Arcstar explodes. MJ goes down, but it's a 1-for-1 as Gent falls as well. It's Stay Naughty and Zach Mazer battling it out from the back, and at long last, Micah and Ike are eliminated.
Yeah, that was... C9 almost lost that, but they did actually end up pushing and committing fully, which is the difference between them and Team Nerf that did not push in. So we did see that come into play here. And G2 coming in, trying to take out this positioning here, because they want that building.
I don't mind it at all, but they know as well as we do that threats from above are what they got to keep their eyes on. You hear those bow check shots, and you know how quickly that can take you from 100 to 0. Quite literally, by the way. 105 headshot damage. if you're not running a nice helmet, which fortunately enough, Aberlele does have to give him a little bit more survivability. Complexity, on the other hand, they are the team that was being focused by G2 up until now, that now have a little bit more breathing room. They've sat in this building ever since Nerf made their fateful push against them, and honestly, they look quite comfortable, Stella.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing their best to just stay above ground and just make sure that they are holding this position. They're doing great. We do see Mamba just kind of skirting around there. I think he just got eliminated, actually.
That's CLG out. Tyson are still making their way up towards the Razor squad, who is sitting at the Crafter right now. We'll see what for. We'll see if they get a nice fight out of it. Those two squads are almost sure to clash, as only 30 seconds left for them to cover a great distance into the checkpoint area where this zone is pulling. There's a zone scan right on top of checkpoint as well, so they who actually own the top, who I believe to be Bad Boys right now, should have a really nice time of it. 100 Thieves, on the other hand, they've got at least their own section of the high ground and are able to defend it. Ooh, Lord, I was going to say pretty effectively, but then we had 120 damage dealt in one shot, and Scurvy had to reset. Now things are looking a little bit more difficult. Mastiff does come out, and it's a lot of damage, but all 4 bullets end up finding no knocks, and an Arc Star causes a heal cancellation. 100 Thieves are getting torn apart right now. Finally, the ult comes out, repositioning Scurry right next to Onmu, but we'll see if that's even enough, as they still have Lost One and Los Demonios. They are upsetting the balance of the high ground power.
Yeah, that was an incredible ult there, making sure that he could protect his teammate as well as disengaging, and they've been able to reposition, which is fantastic for them.
Fortunately enough, they've also got this extra bit of height if they want to continue that fight as well. But Vayne, disengaging for the moment, has other things to do. Things like set up his team for success later on in the ring. 13 seconds left until we figure out where they need to go. And Razor, unfortunately, need to be anywhere from here. They eat a lot of damage, and Box of Tea is going to be able to get that bat off for now. But it's still 2 versus 3, and it doesn't seem to be going their way. The nades are too much, and C9 punish those who land on top of them. Carr getting reloaded for the final swing from Stay Naughty to down Z Davis. The habitat comes out a little late. This is a ceremonious one, if that, because this fight, Stella, is very much over.
Yeah, they definitely made it as annoying for C9 as possible, and for that, they may actually be getting third-partied here, but they are looking really healthy. C9 did not come out of that looking too hurt, so they might be okay here. They are holding the high ground. No one wants to push them while they have that ultimate up, so they might be okay for now. Now, Razor, though, I don't know how Box of Tea is alive here.
He even got shot as well, so C9 must know that there's a member in the area with the Bloodhound Seer. They've got to have that data, but they decide, you know what? That's somebody else's problem now. G2, they, for their part, have been able to usurp the high ground that we saw 100 Thieves have earlier, actually taking a piece out of Los Demonios, and Razor do finally bite the dust at the hands of C9, who came back to finish the job. Up on the high ground, G2 continue their war against the rest of the world. 40 seconds left till zone close, but that should be more than enough time to find yourselves a clean fight and to finish on this seemingly last member. Aberlele round in the corner with the PK, has that peeker's advantage, and 100 Thieves are now gone.
Yeah, that was going to be an easy pump right there. I mean, unfortunate, but they were able to play. And now we see Los Demonios trying to contest them there. But, I mean, that's a full 3. They haven't gotten the res off yet. I don't know why they decided to poke there.
I guess we're... Oh, my God. Oh, my... I can't believe that happened. That's actually the most tragic thing. They weren't even doing anything, man. It's just...
No, they should have just rezzed, honestly, before deciding to get their attention, but now they are on the hunt.
Unfortunately, not going to be able to get their third back into the game, or at least they're going to need another mobile respawn beacon to do so. High ground still being rewarded as G2 were forced to give up theirs. If you've got that tiny, tiny building right up at the peak of this zone, you should have a really nice time of it. Destruction by C9 up the pylon gives them the opportunity to throw some damage, and Kraber in the hands of Zach Mazer as well, and a lot of damage being reined in by those frags, but it isn't enough to find down just yet. The crack, though, does it, as Oxygen lose their first member, and C9, they end up, well, feeling a lot more comfortable now, as they should be able to clean up the whole squad. Oxygen end up going down, and C9 are still very healthy.
Yeah, I don't think Oxygen was paying attention to how much health was left on that shield there. Unfortunate, but they are out in 9th place and, 10th place, because Demonios were also just taken out as well.
Unfortunately for them, it seems like Torrent are also in an engagement. Keon ended up getting taken down for just a moment, and he's still down as Rambo and RKN struggle for how to deal with this situation now. Keon's still alive, providing that knockdown shield for a little bit of cover. Now you're forced to use the pylon, and it's just RKN left alive again. We have seen this story so many times, but with Complexity starting to make their presence known in the ring, and with so much action around this zone close, I can't imagine that Torrent are going to get much higher in the placements.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked that RKN survived that, but I mean, hey, we'll see what happens here. Zach Mazer with the sniper again here, trying to find any connections to the Kraber. And his R301 is kitted out. They are looking very strong right now.
He pushed up very, very quickly, and apparently it does not punish us at all. C9 go, this was, I'm sorry, your space? I think not. Zach Mazer does get taken down, but it's a 2 versus 1 fight right now. The C9 almost lose, and they end up going out for it. SZN come in for the third party. Now they've got the Kraber. Now they've got all of these loot boxes on the low ground.
Honestly, I feel like if C9 were using anything but the wingman there as their secondary, they probably would have been able to hit that and at least secure the KP there. But unfortunate for them, we do see Complexity here in a bit of a tough situation. Shiny having to pull out his ultimate here and have to full bat while his teammates are going down in the fight.
It's different pages right now. They're at different stages of life, it seems. Complexity are unable to save their last member in the building, and they've still got a nice spot in ring if they're able to hold on to it. It's not the end of the world, but it's going to feel like it, as for the next little while they're going to be focused, and Kenny coming around for the swing could hurt quite a bit. Doesn't find any damage just there, but Shiny has gone down, and you're losing members one by one. Complexity, not long for the world as we're into the top 5, but they don't make it to the top 4. Complexity are out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this one location, and the final ring is closing. So it's going to be a bit of a mess going into this. We do see high ground still being occupied, and that team, I mean, unless they have a Horizon, they are going to be in for a hard drop down there.
C9 ended up taking out Torrent. The rat v rat action over there. All right. It leaves us with just a few members left, but Bad Boys, they are more than happy to take that engagement, as we know Bad Boys do. Unfortunately, they lose one. Promo's out in the open, gets taken down. We lose another as Yubo, the last one left alive, turns around with the 301, pops the reload, but may not be able to get the res, as we've got 2 different members of G2 starting to come in. Excuse my misstep earlier, as it's going to be G2 in the battle against SZN for this final ring. It's a 2 versus 3 at the moment, but with 1 down, G2 should have this. Nox Gas Grenade buys a little bit of time on the other side. SZN haven't gotten the res off just yet, but Bolt does a lot of work, and Abralele has ended up going down. SZN have a 2 versus 1. Surely they can pull it off. They climb up onto the roof. The Volt does the work, and the 301 finishes it off. SZN claim their first win of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Really well done by them. I mean, they were strong all throughout that fight. Like, absolutely.
They really were. And honestly, great control of the low ground as well. We saw them third party the fight from C9, wiping out that squad. And though Abralele lived on, he's unfortunately not playing for them anymore. And G2 simply wasn't able to access the fight in the same way. Operating as a 2-man, Bad Boys. Well, we know what happened to Bad Boys, and I do feel bad about that. I
think they got a little bit too confident, which does happen. I mean, they've been playing out of their minds, which is fantastic. But I think the thing is they pushed in a little too early. Obviously, they had the high ground. They had to come down eventually. But they definitely pushed in a little bit too quickly.
They really did, and you get it, right? They've been rolling fights over and over. It seems like a really nice position, but this was actually one of the more passive games from Bad Boys, and I can't believe that I'm saying that, because after their first couple fights, they recognized that they had an amazing spot, and it did turn into third place for them, which is, I believe, if I'm not misspeaking, the highest placement that they've had throughout today, despite the fact that this isn't the most kills. So it should even out for them.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? They have been fragging out, so we may see them still hold on into first place. So we just need to look at the leaderboard.
I really do, and that is going to be, of course, when we get back from the break. Before that, we're going to watch how Bad Boys sort of turned this into a bigger game for themselves, a bigger placement, and how C9 ended up accessing the late game after what seemed like a spot where they weren't going to make it from this low ground. They actually took several really nice fights, and were able to capitalize on the double Valcult of Razor and Tyson in here to clean up, I think it was like 6 kills that they got here.
Yeah, I mean, C9 also performed really well this match, so we may see them claw up from the leaderboard as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the scoring looks after game number 4. And, I mean, the next game, you're only going to be able to get so much now with going into game number 5 to get those points up. So C9 really doing everything they can right now.
I mean, only 2 more games means that there's only about 40 points that you can make up. If you get first placed twice and it's a reasonably good game, that should be around the height that we're expecting. And that's what makes me really nervous for a lot of teams that haven't gotten access to. Remember, the only top 2 spots that are prized. They're not getting access to the same amount of money. They get the, what was it, crisp high 5? Is that what we decided?
Sure.
Maybe
Sure.
at the next LAN, right?
Yeah.
A crisp high 5.
Yeah, okay.
that'll be what they can look forward to, but really, only first and second are in the battle for now. We'll see if Bad Boys have been able to stay on top. That's what we have to look forward to, of course, after we come back from checking in with Yeso to see how that game 4 went in his opinion.
It's funny because I was thinking at the top of the day about the performance that we saw from Excedrin last night and what we've seen from them last week, and I was kind of thinking about high school superlatives, and I was saying if you were to give one to Excedrin, it was most likely to win a night without actually winning a game. But tonight, that might just be Bad Boys, right? They get third in this one. They were at the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard after Game 3. They're going to add some extra points to that, and they may be able to do it here tonight with 2 games remaining. But of course, the big story here in Game 4 was Season here. Clay and Kenny and Odd Freestyle picking up a dub, and a clean one at that, with 22 points to their name. They grabbed 10 kills in that performance, and that is a huge boon to their chances here tonight. So Bad Boys might have been knocked out of first place. I'm not exactly sure where Season was sitting on the leaderboard going into that game, but this is definitely big for their shot here tonight, because I think Dia points out a good point there, right? Even if you play kind of your peak and win both games in these final 2, you're looking at maximum probably 40 to 45 points if you're really doing good. And that's a lot of ground to make up here. So Season definitely put themselves in a spot to chase the top of the table here. But that, opportunity is shrinking for so many different teams. Let's take a moment, though, to check out our Mobile 1 high performance moment here for game number 4. And it was here with C9, and Stella was certainly singing their praises. Of course, this is a roster in a little bit of flux right now because it was recently released. Albert Laley is stepping away from the team, looking for a new roster. Things just not quite working out as much as they hoped to, and it didn't work out here as Season was able to come in and just clean them up. And there's a ton of talent on this C9 roster, and playing with Gent here today certainly gives them a lot of power. And they've definitely been in their fair share of fights today, but they couldn't come out on top in this one. And this was a big reason why Season was able to get the ball rolling in this game towards a victory here in game number 4. And it's why they have a huge opportunity going into our final 2 games of the day. Right now, we're going to take a breather. We're going to reset, get ready for game number 5. But when we come back, Stella and Deal will have the call for you.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. if there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
For nothing, baby. Let's get in there.
We back, folks, and it's for Game 5, as I'm so fond of saying, Stella, the penultimate game of the day, as this is where a lot of our teams are going to recognize, hey, we really got to kick it into the next gear to see if we can place in those top 2, and we wonder how that's going to work out. Let's see who needs to get there, as Mobile 1 leaderboards tell all. Got a maximum of, say, 40 points that you can get if you win both games, so Razor or... Well, they're going to have a difficult time to make it there, and everybody else, I don't know. Contesting Bad Boys is tough, man.
Yeah, we hate to see Esports Arena knocked down to 6th place, but C9 really dragged themselves up. They are now only a few points away from getting 1st place. I mean, obviously, Bad Boys need to be stopped. Someone needs to contest them. I mean, something. Give them a challenge, because look at them up in 1st place with 57 points. We do see G2 pretty close to C9 in 3rd place with 38 points as well. So easily, I mean, 5th game is really going to tell how pacing is going to be set here.
I mean, let's think about this, right? We've got Bad Boys, C9, G2 right at the top. What do all those rosters have in common? They want to take fights, and they want to fight you here, now, and honestly, whenever you show up on their screens. It seems like even after champs, even after the dust has settled on Pro Night, we are still looking at a very aggressive sort of playstyle as being the dominant one. Vizio, of course, haven't really gotten the chance to participate in that, as they are finally landing at Mill and actually able to get a really nice setup, but where are Nerf?
That was really funny. I love seeing Blitz being torn between taking the flatline or keeping his gold Spitfire. That was really funny. just seeing him confused, like looking back and forth. It's like a dog between 2 treats. Like, which one do I take? And it was super fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, Excedrin obviously in a fight here right off the bat. Oh, just absolutely destroying Yubo here. And Bad Boys was actually taken out immediately. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, because I feel like that was targeted. Excedrin taking out Bad Boys. I mean, Bad Boys are out. They're not going to be making any more points. This is up to C9 to take the game.
They honestly could, as well as a really nice setup, and congratulations to Excedrin for eliminating the headache of the lobby, right? In a sort of poetic way. Bad Boys, they've been the ones that have just thrown a wrench to the plans of so many teams with their ability to very quickly just wipe you out of the game. And now that that's gone, this is going to be a totally different game of Apex Legends that we witnessed than any that we've had, World's Edge or Stormpoint. Even so, the fact that Vizio and Nerf are still alive is insane to me. Normally these guys are at each other's throats, and one of these teams has gone down before everybody's even landed. But for right now, they're at a stalemate at Mill.
Yeah, Mill is always one of those heavily contested locations just because of all the loot and the buildings that you can get there. But, I mean, we're going to see if Vizio can use all of their fresh loot to defend themselves. But they're getting pretty close to Downed Beast, where we see another team existing currently.
It should be Mike and Ike who can go ahead and third party this, should they find the proper angle. Nerf, though, they're the ones inspired by confidence, pushing up, finding purple shields on the other end, and we'll see what they end up doing with that data. But right now, splitting the loot theoretically would have hurt both of these teams, but it does seem like both of them still got away with some really nice stuff, and I wouldn't mind seeing them disengage and finally have a lobby in the past 2 days where we can get both teams participating. It's just so infrequent that we actually get 2 of them in the mid-game.
Yeah, we do see 100 Thieves kind of holding the high ground here, but they don't really have the sights to be connecting with anyone down below. We do see them getting the scan here, though, which is the more important thing for them. They want to get into the circle early because Storm Point, again, is the biggest map for Apex. So they want to get these rotations in early. They want to get back on the board.
And whenever you've got the opportunity, especially from the high ground, to get that data and perhaps use your Valkyrie to redeploy from height, you do get an advantage there. For right now, 100 Thieves are choosing to walk it in, which is something that you mentioned last game as being really nice if you want to disguise your position. And with Bloodhound, it seems like that's the play. 100 Thieves have given up the Rampart, the new castle that we've seen them running on Stormpoint previously, and gone for something a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not bad. But again, this is game number 5, so whatever changes you make, they better be good because you could end up screwing yourself here. We do see Complexity having taken a little bit too much damage here, not looking great on shields with only Shiny having a purple. But they do have a Watson. They're able to get healthy again. But, I mean, Intel's like right around the corner.
This was a spicy place to be. Fortunately enough, Intel also have what I think a lot of people would consider to be Godspot in Barometer, so they're not itching to give it up either, especially because it's got that beacon on it. They're going to be able to farm this for scans as long as they can hold high ground, and with 2x on the 30-30, they're going to be able to get some nice damage in as well. I honestly really like Intel's position that they've quite literally just fallen into.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of holding all the different heights. I mean, we do see Fearless kind of pushing up a little bit too much, but we are able to see all their communication going down. They are poking, and I'm sure once they do enough damage, they will be pushing together, but they are making sure that they won't get flanked here. But they can't get separated too much because they could easily get singled out.
Esports Arena losing one right now in an engagement of their own. Actually get eliminated in 18th place. Not what we'd expected in our second day of competition this week. After their performance yesterday, they were looking really convincing. Unfortunately for them, that's going to have to wait until perhaps in the game, perhaps even another day should this continue. Complexity have gotten a lot more confidence with this, though, with all the fighting that's been going on. They've been able to take a lot more space, which I really don't mind, because this squad needs to start getting involved in KP to reclaim their #1 spot.
Yeah, I mean, Complexity has been playing pretty decently. I wouldn't say that they've been on top of their game, though, and we do want to see them doing a little bit better. They did just get hit by Crypto Ult, though. And Hakulo, the only one with decent shields, has to completely reset here.
I am shocked that he's even alive right now. I know that there's a 30-30 on top of Barometer, so the fact that he was sitting at 50 HP for a second and didn't get taken out, that's honestly a miracle for Complexity, and hopefully they'll be able to continue with that energy, with that luck, shall we say, and keep themselves in the game for a little bit longer than they have for the rest of the day. Bats traded off for now, keeping everybody nice and topped up, and Watson's passive shield gen should give them enough help that they're actually able to win a lot of poke wars in the area. Tyson, another squad that is set up really early, are concerned with one thing and one thing only, and it ain't high ground, it is just chaos in this room.
Now, they are aware of people nearby, but they are just trying to bunker up as best as possible, which I'm very surprised that more teams aren't running a Caustic on Storm Point, especially for final circles. We do see Razor trying to push in. They might find themselves in for a rude awakening here, but they are opting to go into the island, where they're not going to have a whole lot of cover, but they're actually decided to go through the bridge here, which I honestly hate this position. I think it's so easy to lose these fights in these positions.
I really don't, looking at this, think that either of these spots are fun to play, right?
No.
You either play the island and you're open from all sides, you play the bridge and you are kind of open from all sides. There's not really a winning situation there, and so for right now, I think it's a temporary one, and we'll see what they're able to make of it later. CLG temporarily taken aback by that charge rifle that is making the game extremely difficult for them to play. But Mamba still manages to get a nice push, having swapped off the Caustic that he was running on World's Edge, and now instead opting for that Seer now that we're on Storm Point. Ooh. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to get to play too much of the game as he ends up getting knocked, and now the res is coming in, but who may just follow this up?
Yeah, and who's a team that we haven't really seen show up too much today, so it's really good to see them being able to take this fight here. But they weren't, they are pushing a little bit too late. They had to fully heal, and now that res has probably gone off, so they're not going to be looking too good into this push, so they are going to have to back off here.
That charge rifle's still causing a lot of problems as well. You've got a Watson, you've got shields, but you don't really have the opportunity to take risks if you want the chance at being able to actually maintain your position as a squad with full 3 members into this late game. We've already whittled ourselves down to the top 17, and folks are starting to pile into the ring. I say that even as we've got notable exceptions. A few teams over in Cascade Falls, and one all the way over by what is looking like Mill right now as we rotate up.
Yeah, we see a lot of teams still existing outside of the circle, and turns just kind of rotating around, way around. And we're just going to be seeing a lot of teams moving in, trying to find places to sit, which always happens around circle 2 to 3. And, you know, I don't know what it is about this specific POI, but there are always fights happening here.
It's just so tempting, right? Everybody knows that in pubs, if you want to engage early, if you want a 50-50, and you want to frag out, this is where you land. And right now, even in the mid-game, that's holding true. Los Demonios have shown up to see if they can try their luck at a fight, and right now, things seem to be going pretty well. They did get the initial knock on SZN, our winners of last game, and with Tech finding a little bit of damage, he actually forces out the Caustic ult, a big cooldown that Odd Freestyle is no longer able to make use of. SZN are losing control of the engagement. They lose 2 and 3 members, and we've got Los Demonios actually able to frag out here.
Yeah, and they're going to make a full recovery. They are outside of the circle, but they do have KP under their belt, and there's 15 squads left. So they're doing just fine. They are waiting to try and get more placement, but obviously they need to get into circle first before any of that gets established.
One of the nice things about eliminating the squad in 16th place as well is that you get those extra few placement points. You don't just get the 3 KP, you also get that additional 4th bonus point to just reward you for help escort squads out of the game. Vizio, meanwhile, they haven't actually gotten any KP yet, but they've got a decent amount of damage in considering their position. Playing out by Cascade, charge rifle in the hands of Blitz. This is a ring prediction placement right now. Vizio expecting this to pull over towards them, where actually these little spider garage is what I'm going to call it, can actually be really nice.
Yeah, this charge rifle is just being absolutely just annoying here, and Vizio, they are looking pretty good. I mean, they are a team that we've seen win fights and do really well as a team, but I want to see them do more. I want to see them be able to place a little bit higher in this game as well. They are very good at scoping out where exactly teams are going to be, but they also need to figure out how they're going to get into the next circle.
Making life a little bit more difficult. We do know there's a Watson in there for complexity, so things won't be too bad, but it's all about sending a message, right? Charge rifles are echoing all across Storm Point right now, but as you mentioned earlier, the circle is the focus, and right now, Mike and Ike, they've actually got a good position and the read on it as well. They may be gambling that, however, on a fight, as they've already taken down 1 member of C9 and are going for a few more. MJ's committed to this canyon, though, and does get taken down, so it's a trade back. It's actually C9 may be able to reverse this fight still. Mike and Ike do find a small beam, but Wiz hits the bat, and things aren't looking too hopeful for them. They who win this engagement will have an amazing spot right next to Vizio, and C9 are the ones doing it right now, despite getting shot at from above.
Yeah, we did see Naughty try to provide some extra cover there, but just wasn't able to do it. And I don't know if this is going to work out. That is going to cancel the res there, and they're going to get punished for that. And that is going to be the end of C9 here. Followed up with the charge rifle. Absolutely disgusting and disrespectful there.
It is, but it's well-deserved because Mike and Ike had a difficult time winning that engagement, and thank God that they did. C9's positioning otherwise would have been incredible, but it seems like they're not out of the woods yet. We did see another team behind them, and we know that Vizio is in those spider caves right next door. Intel likely have that beacon scan already and should know the spider caves are going to be where this zone is pulling next. Well, Los Demonios, they start to creep up from behind. We have so many different angles of approach on this ring, but honestly, I'm not expecting a lot of squads to survive this pull because there's a lot of open space in these next 2 rings.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these teams that are still trying to find openings and ways into the next few circles. It's going to be very messy here. 13 squads left, and that's a lot of people existing outside of the zone and within the zone. And we do see Excedrin actively holding out a team here that probably just got done with one of these little bases, and I don't think they're going to be able to make it in. Obviously, Excedrin also has to get in a circle, but they are in a way better position than whoever is out here.
They really are. This is not looking good, and right now the bow does connect to the face. An unfortunate place for an arrow to be. With enemy starting to check angles as well, he's actually going to recognize, hey, I am not alone up here, and I could get beamed. I'm not going to ego it on the 1v1, despite knowing that I think from my perspective, he is one of the players that I wouldn't actually mind seeing ego a few more fights. Regardless, he's not going to be the one to do it. Instead, wide swinging after his team does the initial damage. Out comes the habitat to give them a little bit more data. And out comes the bow as well as we go up right back into the long-range engagement. Excedrin are using a lot of their time to clear out this team. And right now, with all these angles, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Demonios, they are obviously actively aware of this ultimate. They are trying to sneak around, but I honestly don't know how well they're going to be able to move around this. Yeah, I think they're just going to be stuck here, and they are going to be fighting outside of the circle for quite a bit, and they are going to get held out by other people that look down at this. I mean, they are in a very open scenario, and now they bring out the counter ultimate.
I like it. It's actually real. Oh my god, it's really nice, especially when you get a scan like that. I don't know how the health on Cruisin fell so low, or rather, excuse me, not on Cruisin, fell so low, but as Capra ended up going down there, it's going to be all of Excedrin that is now gone.
Oh, no.
That was a very quick fight out of almost nowhere, but it's not done yet. As 100 Thieves have taken note, and Los Demonios, now with no Seer ult, no Seer scan, are going to have to face up against another squad who's getting, I will say, shot in the back.
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of noise for a long time, and that's something that you have to be considerate of, especially in these later zones where the circles keep getting more intimate and smaller. Like, you're going to have to be careful. And now even 100 Thieves is being gate kept out from the circle, and they are down to one person. It's Onmu. And even he is just getting absolutely spit on here with the R301. And, I mean, Team Tyson coming in looking strong.
They've already got the single knock, and we know there's another one that got given over to Los Demonios. 100 Thieves are out. Tyson win the fight, and it is looking crispy. Right now, Los Demonios, they are not giving up yet. They said, hey, you took one kill from us. We are going to get it right back. A huge beam from Luxford with the car as he goes on the flank once more, finds the angle, and it's going to take down yet another player, but it's not quite enough as Tyson still managed to usurp that fight. Oxyeri's pulling out the Mastiff for the clutch. We'll see if he can get these reses, or whether other folks will be coming along a little bit faster than he would have expected. Oxygen are already on the way, and we got to imagine that we're saying goodbye to Tyson soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that happens in final circles, right? You just see constant third parties coming in. Now, we do see your favorite play with Newcastle coming in here with the moving shield. And, I mean, Oxygen looking pretty good here. Oh, but they do... Okay, they did eliminate Tyson. All right, good. I was getting a little bit worried for them. But again, they're making sure that they don't get third-partied. Great job there by Kubsky, making sure that he could defend his team there. But now he is going to have to opt for more close-range weapons as we go into circle number 4 closing.
Thank God they were able to do that as well. Oxygen struggling on today, have had a really tough time in mid-games. But now it looks like they're finally going to be able to access that late game. It's still tricky. Take a look at the ring, as Bridge will be playable, but other than that, you've still got Vizio, who will be able to stay, I believe, inside of Spider Caves, and Nerf, who will be approaching from the south, who have had so much space and so much time to set themselves up for success. Complexity right now scrambling for answers as well. They do have the Newcastle. There is just not a whole lot of playable space.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to be seeing a lot of teams just kind of looking at where they need to go, where the other teams are, because they know that a lot of people are out of position, because there are always teams that are out of position. Complexity looking pretty good. They do need to rotate in, but they are aware of people just around here, and they do see the other team here.
Get scanned out for a
unable. Yeah, unable to really connect with any shots here.
Everybody okay? We're all okay. We're all okay. Complexity don't take down Razor, as you mentioned, although it seems like Shiny said, you know what, that's not going to be the case for too much longer. Nades are starting to rein in. The 30-30 is doing work, and that Arcstar is going to do even more. Hollow almost surely going to be full thirsted here, especially as the zone moves in. Boxity and Blake do not have that many options, and they're being shot from behind as well. Oxygen has scrambling to get into the ring, are being chased down by Torrent right on their backs, and with an Arcstar placed as well. Always sent by turns around, fries a little bit, I believe, onto Complexity. We'll see who ends up coming out on top of this three-way engagement. Vizio's gone down in the meantime. Just the one member, though. There's the team still in this, as they've got a Newcastle ult up, but Oxygen are getting flanked, and things are not looking good for them. Oi Senpai dipping and diving out of the mobile shield. Will he get this bat off? Yes, he will! Woo!
You know, Oxygen's looking really good. They've been able to pull off these plays that I have not been able to, that I didn't think that they'd be able to win. But you know, oh my god, why did I say that?
It's the caster curse, it's too strong.
You know, it was unfortunate. They are on top of the bridge, which is not a great position to be, especially with all of these teams looking out. Look at these beautiful PK shots from Complexity here, taking out Who, which honestly, really good on them for being able to survive to top 6. We do see Oxygen still living here, trying to get that res off, fighting this 1v1, this 2v1. Oh, he just, unfortunate. That was, he was getting the banner and trying to get the shield swap there, but it did not work. But Torrent might be in trouble for that.
RKN down, Keon full thirsted, and Rambo ratting it out. We've seen him in top 4 before, but this time with no Valk, no mobility, and a lot of attention directed his way. I'm not sure he'll be able to survive. We'll see what Complexity make of this, as I believe they've found him. The shots right behind should actually signal the end of that squad. Torrent do end up being tossed out of this game. Vizio, I believe, still in that corner, should make our second squad, and if we haven't missed anything, Nerf should be our final one. Actually focusing down Complexity right now. We'll get a chance to confirm all that later as Vizio actually go out. Nice shot from Monsoon to take him down. And now Complexity find themselves in a clean 3v3. Still have a Kraber with 2 shots left as well, but not a whole lot of covers. We got to get a little closer to this truck, and the Singularity makes things difficult. Arcstar comes out. Mobile shield gives you a second. The Mon is low, and now he's down. Complexity have lost 1, and it's going to be Nerf who take the high ground and take the 5th game of the day.
You know what? Nerf learned from the mistakes, and they fully committed to that fight, and they were able to hold the high ground and hold strong. I'm really proud of them. That is character development there.
Really solid stuff, and you know what? It all came off the back of a little bit of forgiveness, right? They let Vizio coexist with them throughout the early game. They even both made it to the end game, and Vizio, they weren't able to stand up the test of Complexity in the same way, actually having a really difficult time as what looked like it was going to be a good circle pull for them forced them just into the most inconvenient part of zone.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the leaderboard's going to look now, because we saw a lot of teams that were at the top kind of get taken out early, and we have no idea how these scorings now are going to be looking total across the board. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's the last game too, so it's going to be the final chance for Bad Boys to try to get back any points they may have missed out this game.
One more shot for Bad Boys to reassert themselves, for C9 to climb up to the top, as they were so close before this, but had such a difficult game. Let's take a look back at that game as well and see how things ended up sorting out for all of our squads who, did have a 50-50 sort of game, especially like we talked about C9 right here, actually going down in the ravine. It was a really tough spot to take, a really hard fight to have initially, especially when you're flanked by so many squads, but Mike and Ike did really well. Tyson did really well in this third party.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyson did a great job of capitalizing the timing on this, and they did hold their ground, which was great. It is just unfortunate that as soon as the circles start to close, it is a lot harder to prevent the 4th parties that you're going to face up against. So it's just one of those situations. But Tyson did a great job of holding out as much as they could and securing as much KP as they did.
Shout out to Luxford from Los Demonios, by the way. Despite the fact that they ended up going down in that engagement, Luxford did 1v2, and no one can take that away from you, Luxford. You looked really good, and it almost was enough. Before we do pop into that 6th game, though, we're going to hear what Yeso has to say as he preps us up for the final game of the day.
Oh, baby, one more game to go tonight, but Nerf grabbing a big dub here in game number 5. Huge performance from them, and they're just trying to keep things rolling. They looked good last night, looking good here tonight. Let's see how they did here in game number 5 with our look at our champion squad. They picked up 7 kills for themselves in this one. Messiah leading the way in the damage department, but Turns picks up 3 kills, leading the way on that front. And this is a team we were talking about last night. D and I were pointing out that, Messiah is the kind of player that can really put a team on his back, be that dude who just takes over a game. But the nice thing about this roster is that he doesn't have to do that. He regularly gets opportunities to do so just with his kind of skill. But Force and Turns are such well-rounded and talented players that this is really just a nicely well-balanced and good roster. And I can't wait to see, as these players continue to compete together, what they can do and how they can really perform in the back half here of Season 5 of Series E. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One high-performance moment here from game number 5. And this is going back to an early fight here with Los Demonios. That says Tech on the screen, but I think I've heard rumors that might be XQC playing in our tournament. I don't know. You can confirm that on Tech's Twitter account. But Tech getting in the mix here with that flat line, and they're able to just absolutely demolish Season in this one. And you can see Luxford already with that red Evo to kick things off. And this early in the game, that's feeling really damn nice here, as Odd Freestyle is the one to go down first, and Tech really just hitting it all there as Los Demonios clean up in this fight. And they've been solid. Of course, this is a newer roster. Tech been playing with Vayne here just for a little bit, and I'm really curious to see where this team goes as time continues, as we get ready for year 3 of the ALGS. I'm a big Vayne fan, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. And we've gotten a good taste of them over the last couple of weeks here in Series E. We've got one more game left on our schedule here for tonight. It will decide a lot. We'll find out just what's at stake, though, when we come back from this break. Estella and Dio will take a look at our Mobile One leaderboard. We'll have Game 6 when we return.
Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends, where Dia and Stella take you through the games. Before we do, let's take a look at that Mobile One leaderboard and see where we're breaking down. Bad Boys still in the lead, Stella, despite not winning that game and being eliminated pretty early.
Yeah, I'm shocked that no one has been able to overtake them. I mean, we do see Complexity has stayed second place, which is great for them, but we do want to see them kind of take back first place. Like, they won the first, come on. We need to see them bring it back. And we do C9 actually really close to complexity as well with 3 points off. So second place is going to be up in the air.
It is, and the scary thing about that is that really everyone's within touching distance. Still, you know, let's say 20 points off of a game. That puts G2 really close if they have a, I want to say, fragging out game. This has so often been the theme of the day, and even if we're talking about second place, puts teams like Torrent, puts teams like SZN, even perhaps teams like Vizio in the conversation, though them I'm a little bit hesitant with. The one thing that I can agree with Vizio on, however, is their ad before we came back, and that is that it is going down in this last game. We have got just one chance for these teams to strut their stuff, and one of the few pro nights that we've actually had during this season. This is an excellent opportunity for all of our partnered squads, and it's the last one they're going to have until next week.
Yeah, and then next week there's a whole new meta coming into play. Unless, is ESA not using them? Is ESA actually following all the new changes that are coming in?
I believe so. I'm not an admin.
All
Disclaimer, by the way, I am not an admin, but I believe so. We'll get that confirmed later on. I'm sure somebody will tell us in our ears whether we're misrepresenting the company or whatnot. But for right now, I think it's pretty safe to say that next week's going to be pretty chaotic, Stella. Are you looking forward to it, though?
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited to see. It's going to be interesting. I believe that the 30-30 is going to be a bit more impressive than it has been already. But we'll have to see how things look.
Yeah, I am very scared, I will say, of the things that we're going to see next season. But you know what? If your I suppose fundamentals are down, if you're ready to experiment a little bit, should be just fine. Much like Bad Boys are looking right now. They're still contested in their checkpoint landing and actually haven't immediately wiped a fight. So I'm a little more nervous for them than I normally would be, especially because despite the fact that Promos has been wandering around looking for one, they haven't actually found any better shields just yet. Let's cross our fingers for these last 3 supply bins. Anything for us? No, nothing. That's just sadness.
Well, you know, they have the flatline and the longbow, which is pretty good. I'm sure they're going to be just fine making that work. And even if they don't have better shields, I would be shocked if they weren't able to make a very nice pie out of the apples they've been given. Like, they have been just on top of the leaderboards all day. I think they'll be just fine.
Oh yeah, these guys, honestly, even if they do go down, still actually have a chance of winning it all, depending on the performances of the other squads, and that's a really nice thing to have in your back pocket. They will have to not only make that pie, but toss it all the way up north, as we are going over towards Wall for our zone. And Vizio, instead, have chosen to go in the opposite direction, still landing by nerf, and still actually getting out alive. No players in this entire game have been down. We're not missing anyone. We're just clearing a little bit further off to the south, making sure that we get as much loot as possible. And spider caves are a great place to do that.
Yeah, especially if you're hurting on attachments. You definitely want to be hitting those spider caves or anything that you can, even those armories. But the armories make a lot of noise, so you need to be careful how much noise you're making, of course. And Yubo already on blue shields after using the triple take to absolutely demolish some shields on the other side. Now, we do see them playing a little bit slower here. They are being a little bit more careful because they did get taken out pretty early last time.
It's weird to see them playing slow, though, isn't it? I mean, I'm so used to Bad Boys showing up as they wipe a team, but right now, it seems like things are finally kicking off. We've got one member down. Did Bad Boys get the chance to reset, having split up the fight effectively, taken 1v1s, and honestly, are looking really quite comfortable. I will say that 50 HP on 2 members does leave a little bit of room for error in this fight, but a good cover on Promos from Yubo keeps his teammate healthy, keeps him unchallenged on this high ground, and gets them 1 KP while pushing them a little further forward.
And it does look like the other team is still staying in the area, and I mean, they are going to be able to get that down quite easily. Now they're going to be hunting down the 3rd member because they want to get this full 3 KP. I mean, they have been standing at the top of the leaderboards, and they want to secure their first place.
All right, well, they found the last member of Exedrin, and with a flank like this, it seems pretty doomed. Exedrin go out in 20th place, and Bad Boys are right back up top as if nothing ever happened, with an additional 3 KP to keep them in the lead.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they didn't full send earlier, but I guess they were being a little bit more careful, which makes sense. And I mean, it is up to Complexity to make this their high scoring game so they can try to overtake Bad Boys if they do want to take first place.
We'll see what CLG and G2 can do down here as they try and overtake just each other. G2 actually, however, being in touching distance of that first and second place spot, so winning this fight going to be really important to them. Unfortunately for them, CLG, they've got the shields of the century with double purples and a blue up here. Peacekeeper in their hands and Singularity deployed already, but Mamba over peaks and gets taken down in a 1-4-1. CLG have still got a good angle on this. Nice trade away from Demi as he gives room for Nano to take over and win CLG the fight. That's G2 out.
That was an unfortunate situation there for Mamba. He did look away last minute before he could use his PK, but it worked out for their team, and they were able to follow up here. Now, Mike and Ike, looks like they are scanning to see if there are any teams in this area, but they are just kind of hanging out on the outskirts of the circle.
We're pretty alone right now. I don't think people coming through this side, especially when we're not pulling up to North Pad, should be relatively infrequent. We'll see maybe 1 or 2 squads do it. Mike and Ike being first to the punch is not going to hurt them at all. It also, I mean, depending on the way this game sorts out, they may have the opportunity to even take the spot up top where Renegades normally land at wall. They're the one squad that everybody's got to look out for because RNG should have the opportunity to take whatever position they think best in this ring.
And we see Los Demonios over here at Lightning Rod, and it looks like they are moving with a purpose.
Oh yeah, they saw people grabbing into their POI and went, that's not happening. Especially with Tech on your team, one of the innovators of the Furia Ape Zone, you're not getting away with actually stepping foot in Lightning Rod. Fortunately enough, it seems like we've got another fight going on elsewhere as Intel end up taking down a member of Vizio very quickly as James Fearless is very scary to play against. And now that he's backed up by Blur holding down the angle here, impossible to push as well. A complete dissection of the squad in front of them as Blur's going to be able to round the corner, do a little bit of extra damage, and check out Bowser behind him, making this impossible to play for Blitz.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a interesting move, but I mean, they did get the knock in there, so... Oh, wow. Okay, and we do see Razor in a fight here. One of the choke points that you hate to get caught in, and they are down a member. And yeah, Boxati not looking so good with his white shields.
Oh, really tragic low ground at the moment. Hollow will be able to be rezzed as Boxati is at least able to hold that angle for a little while despite the low health. They got the scan previously on one knocked member, so this may have been a trade in rezzes, but highlights reveal to us that that is not the case, and a member of Torrent ends up going down. RKN now out. The crypto for this team and the IGL missing at this point in the last game might just be all of Torrent's chances at being able to take first or second place now down the drain.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for them. And yeah, Razor is actually still stuck in this choke point here. I don't know if they're afraid to move or if they just want to be able to take this fight here, but they aren't fully committing to anything, so I think they're going to be playing it safe and trying to leave here.
It's a big Excel to be popping as well, because Blake's prepping for what he's expecting to be a lot of Torrent over aggression with Rambo and perhaps Keon trying to recover this banner. They do spot some enemies on the low ground, whether it be Torrent or no, and actually is not, because we've got 2 different squads firing up at them. Firing up and down, I should say. Intel are in their second fight, definitely firing up as Bowser ends up finding another knock, and this is on Bad Boys as well. 2 of their members now down, and Intel could be knocking out our favorites in the lobby. One last member behind this rock, and James Fearless is doing what he does best. Full sending it with the PK. Bad Boys are out, and it's in 17th place. Mike and Ike may be falling a little bit quickly as well, but they end up escorting another team out. SZN, our winners of Game 4, are now gone.
Yeah, that was an incredible play there. We did see Bowser just absolutely decimate with the hip fire on the R301, which, I mean, I am interested to see how they're going to play, because next season, the hipfire spread on assault rifles are going to be, it is going to be increased, so it's going to be nerfed a bit.
Oh, that's actually going to be really tough. A lot of players really relying on being able to use that hip fire. We're going to see Z Davis likely do it if this gets any closer quarters, although with the R99, he should be feeling pretty darn confident. This thing beams, perhaps not as much as the car, but it's enough, as 88 damage will surely tell you. Rambo going down in the kill feed as Razor continue their fight in this weird low ground area. They actually full thirst this as well. Another member of Torrent gone. Keon, the only one left, and Tyson still in this engagement up top.
Yeah, I mean, the R9 is a great close-range weapon, and it's only getting a buff, too, next season with the laser sight attachment, and it's doing the damage it needs to do here, but they are playing a little bit safely. I mean, Tyson has not pushed up entirely. They are playing the Watson fences, but I don't know how much cover that's actually giving them here.
Worried about it for certain, as Tyson are receiving nades as well, forcing Z Davis back down to the low ground. We've still actually yet to see the reveal on who this team they're fighting up against is, but his first knock is sure to come in soon. It's going to be Los Demonios that finally gets shown to us. Tech does end up going down. Habitat not going to be available, but Flesh is found by Luxford, and he's got to join up with the rest of the team. Ended up taking down 2 members of Tyson, and it's a 2 versus 1 now in favor of Los Demonios, as Luxford still got an angle, has got a crack as well, and now he's got all the confidence in the world. We know Luxford full sends these. Tyson, they end up going down.
That was unfortunate there. Oh, Esports Arena just... Oh, Phony, hello!
Okay.
Absolutely decimating there. That was disgusting.
Looking good, Phony. That's really nice. We actually saw them do really well up on high ground yesterday, and generally, Esports Arena have done a really good job of cleaning up high point zones. Now, while this isn't one, right now the fact that they're encountering a little bit more trouble is going to be the biggest thing. It is a gold bag that they have, so a lot more effective HP given over to them, but Los Demonios are definitely shooting down right now, and Esports Arena don't have a clean way to get out of here.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky situation. Luckily, they did clear all the Prowlers, though, so they're going to be okay here. Okay, but that hitbox was just absolutely unfortunate. Phony does use his ultimate to try to get a little bit more of cover here. Oh,
Dang. Phony's kind of going crazy, right?
Yeah, he's doing just fine. I think that this team, they either need to push or they're just going to be punished. And that's 100 Thieves. They've backed off, licking their wounds here.
Oh my god. If I'm getting beamed like that, I'm probably backing off as well. 100 Thieves running for the hills as they actually... I want to say get engaged on, which feels really weird. Onmu is going to be able to back off, and they will still have high ground to use up against ESA on the continued push, but they've got to be wary, both teams do, of Los Demonios coming down through that hill. Nerf, in the meantime, they're picking a fight of their own, popping up into this building. They've got the Seer scan on just the one, but it's going to be enough to sick Messiah on him. 3 members underneath this building. No missteps just yet from Nerf. There's the first one on the other end as Messiah ends up popping down, finds the crack with the wingman and does not overextend. Instead, though, getting beamed from afar. He is going to be knocked. Nerfs are at a disadvantage, but Turns is still cleaning up inside. Peacekeeper in his hands. Doesn't quite get the knock on the last one, but the Flatline's able to trade it out. Leaping Force in a 1v1. Peacekeeper only finds 9, and Nerf end up going out to Oxygen as the third party rolls in. And Mike and Ike are going to be able to clean up all of these kills and be able to pick up a nice bit of loot. There was a third party coming in off their back, though. Intel are still here. It never stops, especially on Storm Point, and James Fearless has got the angle of a lifetime. 88, nearly 100 damage found as an Arc Star is going to make life even more difficult. The elimination of the pylon opens things up for Intel, but they haven't got the cracks just yet. Finally, the first knock comes in. Wiz ends up going down. And now it's a James Fearless world, and we're all living in it. Bowser comes around the corner with the Kraber, but whips out the 301 instead, saying, you know what? AR spray hasn't been nerfed just yet, so why don't we just try this? It's 1 member down so far. Intel are still on the hunt. Are they going to leave this right now with so many other squads showing up?
Yeah, did they tell, hey, did in the Discord, did all of the partner teams decide to gang up here and fight it out here? Because we have seen partner team after partner team just fighting it out in here. And now we do see ESA also fighting out for their lives here. They need to get their res off.
Phony's been taken down completely. No more gameplay for him. A nice Excuse me, a bit of damage does get dealt by Fury, but with Scissors coming around the back, he does have to win this 1v1. The peaks from the PK have just been too good so far. Right now, rounding the corner, he ends up finding it, but no shield swap in time. And Esports Arena end up going out to Los Demonios, who come in for the third party.
That was unfortunate. I feel like they could have won that, but I mean, it was all up in the air. But great recovery for Demonios. They are able to get the res. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
They are going to get the res, but they may not get their friend back so easily here, unfortunately.
I'm wondering if this does get full sent on. 100 Thieves have such a good spot. Do they give it up for the chance at a bit more KP? It's seeming like the answer is no, and CLG are doing exactly the same. Take a look at them, opting to go underneath, right into the Kingdom of Razor, where they've already wiped out several squads before. CLG are going to enter into this. They don't have a clue just yet, and we're likely going to get to see a few more kills go down. Razor having to run for the hills, actually, as the Singularity got deployed. They sniffed it out just in time, and the damage from Nano is there. Do they go for this? Arcstar does go out. The missiles aren't going to land. We've got 2 shield breaks so far. CLG could wipe Razor from their cave.
Oh my god! That was absolutely disgusting. Nano just coming in with the spray on the car, not missing a single shot here.
Nano's so good at Apex Legends. Oh my god. Able to pick up 2 of the kills so far. We're going to make it a third right now. Just needs 1 more bullet, but Demi's going to go up and grab it for him. Razor are gone just like that. CLG walked right into their trap card and still came out alive.
Yeah, absolutely. CLG is killing it right now. Hopefully they can take second place, or maybe even first. But first was kind of far off. I mean, hopefully we get to see them show up on the leaderboard really high up. I mean, we want to see them. I don't know. Do you think that they can take first place here?
Ooh, I'm gonna say no. It looked,
no? Okay.
I'm gonna take that bet, right? And honestly, looking across the map when we got a shot of it earlier, I'm not sure how many squads actually do have a chance at first place, because I don't think 100 Thieves is in the conversation. I don't think Intel's currently in the conversation. If I don't think CLG is in the conversation, that already eliminates half the squads in this end game from actually being able to take that spot.
Oh, look at God! I hate these circles here. Oh my God! Look at this. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
It's rough. You and I, we've played way too many of these to actually have any fondness for it. But I will say, if anybody's feeling good, it's Complexity, because they are one of the teams in the conversation for first right now, and they have also rolled themselves what I think a lot of people would consider a god spot.
Yeah, they're in a pretty good position. I mean, that team above does have to push down, and they have nowhere to go except for into Complexity's line of sight. So hopefully, as long as they don't push like Monsoon is doing here, hopefully they are able to hold their ground. Oh, CLG does get punished for it, though.
I am... What on earth happened? Did 100 Thieves just go down to CLG? I am decoding the Matrix right now to figure out how on earth Nano went down here on this horizon. He's unable to get back into the game as in rolls the third party. And Los Demonios are actually the ones that have, I suppose, taken out 100 Thieves and started the fight onto CLG, but they're not missing a member just yet, and CLG unfortunately are. James Fearless has ended up being taken down, and Luxford gets to pop right back up to the roof. We know Luxford is comfortable here, and even with the wingman in hand, he finds that crack. The 301 is going to stay safe for now as he sends it down with tech, chasing down these last couple members.
Okay, Los Demonios definitely on their demon time here. Look at this aggressive push here, not really caring about any other squads in the location. They're just absolutely pushing this. I don't know why they're doing this. And yeah, now they are getting punished for it. They're going to have to be very careful because they are giving up a lot of room here, and they need to be safe about where exactly they go next.
All that height is gone, but check out what they do have. An additional care package. I believe there we go, a Kraber in it, as that gets picked up in place of the Mastiff. Los Demonios now having control of that have actually managed to mind game themselves into the opposite end of this ring from where they were, but Tech doesn't seem to be having too good of a time, but he's going to get taken down entirely. 2-man left. Naked a 1-man as we're in the top 4, likely top 3 soon.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, Demonios. Ooh! Okay, wait a minute. I was just gonna say they might have been screwing themselves there, but you know what? All right, good for them. Hopefully, Complexity can make a full recovery here. Looks like they're going to be just fine, but that ultimate is not a very well-placed ultimate here.
No, it is like one built of necessity, right? Complexity are like, we cannot lose a player now. They go for the ult, and now, unfortunately, don't have that extra bit of utility. They've got to play what would have been a really good ring for them, now right out in the open in front of everyone. They also I don't believe, got access to that Kraber in the meantime. Instead, it was who got it, and they are making the best use of it, already finding the one knock and maybe finding a second. Stomps gets chunked out, however. That's a lot of damage to be thrown at them for a squad that has to fight up from the low ground.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate, but crack shot there. I mean, he's going to have to fully reset here. Luckily, they do have the Watson pylon there, but we do see Bizet go down, and that's not going to be great for them here because everyone's looking at them.
Thank God he got, I want to say, relatively close to the team. Wave should be able to pull off the res right now, but Complexity are looking for this. They know that they've smelled weakness on the low ground.
Oh, no.
In comes the res, but the angles are just too good right now. Bizet's not going to be able to be picked back up. Luxford gets the finish, and now can you back off in time? Who are trying to contain this high ground? They do have the ultimate from Stomps, but right now things are just a little bit too chaotic to use it. He goes down without making use of that Newcastle wall, and the entire squad is eliminated. Two are gone, and it's Renegades versus Complexity for the final ring.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate situation there. Renegades not looking too great here, trying everything. They're just constantly shifting who they're fighting here. This isn't looking so good for them, and Complexity is the champion for the last game.
What a great finish as well. I love the way that on two different squads they went, we knocked one, you die. And then as soon as they knew that it was a 3v3 at the end, they went, you know what? Slides are fun. Let's just all rock down there and make it a game. With that win, Complexity put themselves not just in the conversation for, but in likely the actual literal first place spot.
I honestly hope so. Like, I think Bad Boys are a great team, but we did see them getting eliminated pretty early on, and Complexity, they kind of learned from their mistakes, and they brought everything back for their best intent. Like, we saw them bring themselves back up.
They've got two really nice bookends, right? They won the first game and the last game. So consistency throughout the night. And honestly, that was the story for a lot of teams. You talked about the Bad Boys, and they're not the only ones who had, I would say, inconsistent performances that ultimately punished them. Complexity even almost fell victim to those, but in this game, when we saw the Bad Boys going down early, we all knew what was happening. We saw the same thing happen to C9, to G2 in some games, and even Exedrin, who ultimately, I believe, did end up falling relatively early on in this game as well. Intel, however, they had a good last two games on Stormpoint. I really want to appreciate them for that. Despite the fact that they had a rough start to the day, they've had actually a rough week with Nerf contesting them all the time. They were able to stabilize and actually put on a pretty good show.
Yeah, I feel like Intel's one of the stronger teams that probably just need a little bit more practice together, and I think they just need a little bit more experience. Like some of these teams, you just need to play more, right? And that's exactly what ESA is here for. It's here for experience. It's here for you to learn how pros play, how exactly you line up, and what you can learn from fighting against them.
And we get a lot of different aspects of that, which I think is really cool. This is actually Nerf, the squad that was contesting Vizio for some of those early fights, and a little bit of a mid-game kerfuffle might be maybe not the most accurate word for it, but it seems kind of cute, and I'm going to use that to explain away a lot of the chaos that we saw in this building.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, you hear it, and of course you're going to go to it. It's like moths to a lamp, right? To a light. I mean, that's a lot of what happens in Apex, and sometimes there's nothing you can do against a fourth party. It is very difficult to keep resetting after third party after third party. It is possible, but that's just part of Apex, and the most you can do is just be sure to secure all the KP that you can, and in the other games, just try to survive and also get your KP. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to make the best of the situation.
Yeah, kills are guaranteed points, right? And prioritizing those is something that even pro teams struggle with. We talked about 100 Thieves earlier and how they might have gone for a third party on Los Demonios. Remember? They didn't pull that trigger. And Los Demonios ended up coming up and killing them. The 100 Thieves didn't get extra placement points. They didn't get kill points. They ended up getting nothing off of that gambit. And this is something that plagues even the best teams, even at the top level of Apex. And so to see our partner squads working with these conundrums as well, and still being able to take 3v3s against some of the best teams in North America, that's what we'd like to see here at Series E.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun challenge, and I feel like adding a prize pool makes it a little bit more serious, has people playing as best as they can, and even if you didn't win anything, you still get that experience of having practiced and played in a lobby like this. And a lot of players don't get to play competitively on Stormpoint except for ranked, which is a completely different experience.
It really is. I actually found myself over the past couple of weeks looking at Apex competitive and going, this does feel like my ranked games, and we're starting to pull away from that, right? We're starting to get a little bit more controlled, but even as we do so, we've still got teams experimenting, pushing the edges of the meta, and some of them are finding success. I really liked a lot of the C9 comp that we saw today. I really liked the double scans, right? It's innovation. It's a different thing that a lot of people are running, and we saw it be pretty remarkably effective.
Yeah, I mean, this is a chance for you to test out the different runs that you want to do. The double scans, in my opinion, I don't feel like are super helpful because I feel like it just doubles up and maybe gives you too much clutter. But it's those things that you can try out in these lobbies, and you know that you have the gun skill, so why not try out different legend compositions, especially with the new one coming out. I mean, it's going to be interesting next week.
Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to, and Stella, I love that you're prepping us for that. Be sure to tune in to watch on Open and Pro Night how these teams adapt to the new meta. Before we close out for today, we're going to check in with Yeso to figure out who actually took away that top spot.
A big start, a big finish, a big night overall for Complexity. As Dia aptly pointed out, they bookend the night with wins in games 1 and 6. And the question is, coming into that final game of the night, they had to make up an 11-point gap between themselves and Bad Boys. Did they do it in that last game? We'll find out when we check out our Mobile One leaderboard. Let's take a look, though, first at our champion squad here. And that was, of course, Complexity. Not a ton of KP. That is huge. Only 5 kills picked up for the squad, but that is a 17-point performance. Hot Pot CEO leading the way with 1,600 damage. Mr. Hacula, though, picking up the KP, 3 kills and an assist to his name. So Complexity showing up strong in this one. And we saw Bad Boys go out early, but they also were in some fights. So we have to see when we go to that Mobile One leaderboard, did Complexity do enough? Before we do that, though, our final Mobile One high performance moment here for tonight's competition, and we're going to the end game. Who, a team we've gotten to see quite a bit of these last couple of nights in the mix, but they go down, and Renegades, who had a rough showing here tonight, are the final team here to challenge Complexity. And Pow Pow trying to make use of that tactical shield, but the problem is Madness and Pow Pow already cracked here. And Complexity just slides in for the cleanup. The final shot there, the no-scope, able to close out the fight and grab the win there for Complexity. And ultimately, it again just comes down to the fact that, did Complexity do enough? Did they pick up enough points in this final win to leapfrog ahead of the Bad Boys and grab the victory? And I just love this final shot here. The no-scope Sentinel, so clean and so well played there. Well, let's not waste any more time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at that Mobile One leaderboard. And it is, in fact, going to be Complexity taking care of business. Bad Boys did pick up 3 points in that one, so they made it even closer, which means that if Complexity didn't win that game, if Renegades actually clutch up and grab the win, Complexity wouldn't have had enough points. But Complexity take care of business. They grab the win. Bad Boys round out that top 2. C9 down there in third. Also, shout out to Los Demonios. Really great back half of the day from the squad. They charge all the way into that top 5, tied there with CLG. So that ends our competition here for tonight and ends another week here of Series E. Of course, a couple of notes. If you missed out earlier in this week, no Guilty Gear Strive tomorrow. Of course, Evo is going on this weekend, so anybody going out there, stay safe, have a good time, shout out, and good luck to all of our Series E pros that will be competing this weekend. And due to the NA Super going on this weekend, no Halo Infinite Pro Night on Friday. We'll have still some stuff going on. You can still check back in for some classic Series E action tomorrow and Friday, but no live Series E stuff, okay? just so you know. But that's going to do it for us, folks. Thanks so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed another awesome week of Series E and Apex Legends action. It's always a pleasure to bring it to you all every Tuesday and Wednesday night. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.